Lu Lai was still in shock, not sure what was going on, when the red-haired girl sighed and reminded her older sister that she had promised not to look for love online anymore. The martial artist girl ignored her sister and insisted that Lu Lai was a perfect catch that couldn't be missed. She talked about her 10 years of dedication to esports, living only for gaming and never having been in a relationship. Relying on her sixth sense, she was certain that Lu Lai was the perfect man she couldn't let slip away. As she asked him if he wanted to date her online, she created a small earthquake to add pressure. However, Lu Lai refused and distanced himself to go rescue Afai. Afai teased her older brother, saying that this kind of proactive girl was just right for him since he had never been in love before. The martial artist girl was even more intrigued, scoring points for Luli's chastity, coldness, and innocence. She couldn't help but think she had fallen under Cupid's spell, wondering if this was what love felt like. Just then, a real arrow struck her. A large group of people suddenly appeared, surrounding Lu Lai and the martial artist girl. The leader was a bald man who had a collection of 74 warrior cards. The leader ordered the robbery of all the warrior cards, leaving only the tallest girl for himself. The rest would be up for grabs, depending on who acted fastest. The 5 people who were previously fighting turned their focus to forming an alliance against the common enemy. At that moment, the sky turned bright red. A beam of light covered everything, and the familiar large screen appeared. The bodyguard gently urged his superior to go live and explain the situation, but the other person, who was napping, seemed irritated and told him to explain it himself. The bodyguard reluctantly informed the warriors that to increase the difficulty and test their ability to adapt, the merchant's lamb zone had been activated. The green zone offered buffs, rare equipment, and treasures, while the red zone was a punishment area that could produce buffs, cause explosions, or trigger chaotic time-space shits. Upon hearing this, the bandits quickly retreated, realizing they were in the red zone. The leader ordered the group to abandon Lu Lai and prioritize their own survival. However, the chaotic time-space shift began, randomly teleporting everyone. Before being teleported, Lu Lai instructed everyone, if we get separated, focus on collecting the warrior cards and regroup at the center of the area. The purple-haired girl was teleported along with the bandits. The moment she appeared, she attacked and swiftly took them all down one by one. The leader begged for mercy, promising to give up all of his wealth, but the girl coldly delivered a decisive punch, knocking him out just like the others. After collecting 231 warrior cards, she reluctantly left, disappointed that she hadn't had a chance to tell Lu Lai her name. She thought to herself, his name must be really nice. I've already been thinking about what to name our future child. Afai and the red-haired girl were teleported to the same spot. She proudly introduced herself as a true Sichuan native. The 2 people were getting more and more into the conversation, surprisingly finding that they had a lot in common. Just 10 minutes ago, they had been fighting fiercely. However, it didn't last long before Small Chili unexpectedly attacked Afai with fire. Small Chili still wouldn't back off, demanding that Afai hand over all the warrior cards before saying anything else. In a moment of desperation, Afai asked, "Does your sister like my brother? Do you want to hear news about them?" Small Chili immediately changed her attitude, showing interest. The 2 of them decided to go look for Afai's brother, which also meant they would find Small Chili's sister. The scene shifted to Lu Na, who had been teleported to a desolate place. Her communication tools and map weren't working, so she couldn't find Lu Lai or Afai. Feeling lonely, she remembered her father's words, "You have to make it to the finals, don't embarrass me." Even though her father spoke coldly and didn't even look at her, she still tried to comfort herself with a positive mindset. Despite the pain, she promised herself that she would take good care of herself for her mother's peace of mind. Suddenly, a giant monster rose from the water behind her, opening its mouth wide, ready to swallow her whole. Water splashed everywhere, and Luna wasn't sure if she was still alive or already dead. As for Lu Lai, he wasn't idle either. He was in the middle of an intense battle. The opponent's creepy grin, combined with Lu Lai being in such a terrible state, shows just how intense and brutal the battle must have been. 2 hours ago, after being transported to a new area, Lu Lai looked around and realized he was completely isolated. He couldn't see any trace of Afai or Lu Na, but he trusted their abilities, so he decided to focus on collecting warrior certificates. Lu Lai equipped the Hidden Cloak, a level 28 item for assassins that boosted his stats and allowed him to blend into his surroundings. Thanks to the Hidden Cloak, Lu Lai could easily take down monsters and other players he encountered along the way. No one understood how they were defeated so quickly. Through these battles, he realized that monsters dropped fewer warrior certificates than players did, and attacking players who were exhausted from fighting monsters was much more effective. After a series of sweeps, his warrior certificates increased to 226. In another area, young Master Han and his girlfriend worked together to defeat a monster that dropped 70 warrior certificates. Thanks to his high-end gear, he made quick work of the monster, cutting it down easily. His girlfriend flattered him, saying, "I feel so safe when I'm with you." However, while they were celebrating their victory, Lu Lai ambushed them. Young Master Han reacted quickly, pushing his girlfriend out of the way to take the blow himself, which led to her being knocked out instantly. Seeing this, Lu Lai wasted no time attacking him. Young Master Han was confident in his strength, thinking Lu Lai was just a reckless fool. But Lu Lai's speed overwhelmed him completely, and he was quickly defeated. Han and his girlfriend's cards pushed Lu Lai's total up to 354. Right after that, a stranger appeared, clapping and praising Lu Lai. Lu Lai was surprised. He hadn't even noticed this guy before. The man said, "I spotted this prey first, but you took it. So now you're my next target." Strangely, he didn't have a single warrior card. Yet he immediately attacked Lu Lai, starting an intense battle. Lu Lai blocked all of his moves, but the man wasn't angry. He actually got more excited the longer they fought. He seemed to enjoy it, even while mocking Lu Li's skills. Suddenly, he used a skill called Blue Wolf Howl to summon a massive blue dragon. With just one roar, the dragon wiped out an entire stretch of land. Even though the roar blew Lu Lai far away, he came out of it completely fine. The man laughed loudly and complimented Lu Li's strength, but said he was even stronger. Lu Lai had to admit that this guy was the strongest player he'd ever faced. Still, beating him wouldn't really mean anything. Then the man introduced himself as Feng Ye and asked for Lu Lai's name. After a moment of silence, Lu Lai replied, "Moonslash." Feng Ye challenged him to a one-on-one fight. Now the real battle between the red serpent and the blue dragon was about to begin. After exchanging names, Moonslash and Feng Ye continued their fierce fight. They kept attacking and defending, but neither could gain the upper hand. Then, out of nowhere, Lu Lai ran. He realized the person he was facing didn't feel human. He felt more like a wild, bloodthirsty wolf. Feng Ye instantly gave chase, pressing in harder and harder, not even giving Lu Lai a second to catch his breath, let alone escape. Lu Lai kept retreating, but he also fought back whenever he saw an opening. To Feng Ye, Moonslash was like a venomous snake. Its attacks struck straight in his weak points and were extremely dangerous. When Feng Ye caught up and prepared to strike from above, he was sure he had the upper hand. The clash of their energy was so intense that the ground shook violently, sending nearby animals into a panic. Elsewhere, Feng Ye's team felt the tremors too. Their leader gave an order: "Third brother, go find fourth brother, Feng Ye, and bring him back. His free combat time is up. The rest of you, stay in formation and keep moving forward." After the fierce battle, the surrounding forest was in ruins, with smoke and flames filling the air. Lu Lai realized that Feng Ye wasn't good at long fights. He quickly shifted tactics, trying to stretch out the fight to wear Feng Ye down while staying alert for sudden attacks. Feng Ye was still full of energy and said excitedly, "It's been a long time since I had a fight this thrilling." He charged in again, but his movements were clearly slower. Seeing his chance, Lu Lai struck from behind, thinking the fight was his. But something felt off. Feng Ye didn't seem weaker. In fact, he was stronger. He launched a powerful blow that sent Lu Lai flying, crashing through several massive trees. Only then did Lu Lai realize Feng Ye had faked a weakness to set a trap. Feng Ye burst out laughing and explained that his passive skill was called Bloody Battle. Simply put, the more he fought, the stronger he became. He launched a full-force attack, forcing Lu Lai to retreat. Knowing his opponent had a rare passive skill, Lu Lai decided to follow the art of war and the 36 stratagems, specifically the 37th one. Running away is the best option. Against such a tough opponent, ordinary tactics wouldn't work. Lu Lai ran until he reached the edge of a cliff where he came across a group of gorilla-like monsters. Each one was holding 5 warrior tokens. He quickly used his skill, Piercing Blade Hunt, to take them all out in rapid succession while they were still confused and unaware of what was happening. Feng got caught up and was amazed by the move. The monsters were wiped out, but by the time Lu Lai turned to face Feng Ye again, he had already figured out how to counter the Piercing Blade Hunt. Feng Ye was impressed that Lu Lai had a skill usually reserved for limited-time bosses. Before he set off, his boss had warned him that if he ever encountered that skill, he had to break it down using the slowest approach possible. Thinking that Piercing Blade Hunt was Lu Lai's ultimate move, Feng Ye smiled in satisfaction. He said Lu Lai had helped him activate his full potential. This match was already over. Lu Lai had lost. For Feng Ye, winning or losing was just part of the game. But for Lu Lai, losing wasn't an option. The next day, Lu Lai's energy suddenly surged, shocking Feng Ye. He quickly shifted from surprise to excitement, feeling the blood in his veins boiling thanks to Lu Lai. At that moment, the third brother from Feng Ye's team appeared. He raised his bow and remarked that the battle had been intense, but unfortunately, their boss was in a hurry. If they returned late, they'd get scolded, so he apologized to Feng Ye and said he'd be the one to finish the fight. Both Moonslash and Feng Ye charged at each other, ready to attack. From behind the bushes, Demon Arrow quietly emerged, drawing his bow. The arrow, filled with killing intent, shot out silently, powerfully, streaking through the air toward its target. The arrow narrowly missed Feng Ye and pierced Moonslash's chest. When Feng Ye realized someone else had interfered, he immediately turned around and shouted, "Who?" Demon Arrow stood tall, still holding his bow, and replied, "Bro, I'm here to help." The sudden appearance of Demon Arrow left Feng Ye stunned and worried. Why is he here? Feng Ye's eyes widened as purple energy surrounded him. With a single swing of his sword, he created a powerful circle that sent the grass flying, leaving only dirt behind. The swirling force pushed Moonslash back. That was Blue Wolf. From behind, a blue dragon blew fiercely, and with its power, Moonslash was sent flying. His body dropped helplessly, falling through the air. An arrow was still lodged in his torso. From atop the high cliff, Demon Arrow stood watching the water ripple below. Something had fallen. With 298 warrior certifications to his name, Demon Arrow glanced sideways at Feng Ye, who still had none. He asked, "Bro, how come your warrior count hasn't gone up at all?" But Feng Ye only responded with a question of his own. "So, he's still alive." Demon Arrow gave a small chuckle, already suspecting Feng Ye's intention. "Feng Ye, don't tell me you let him go on purpose." Feng Ye paused, his expression serious, then said, "Why would I do that?" Demon Arrow didn't let it go. He pressed further. "Then why did you use Blue Wolf for the final strike instead of Apocalyptic Wolf?" With a playful grin, Demon Arrow teased, "You had the kill right there and let it slip. Maybe you're saving him for me?" Before the words even faded, Feng Ye's sword was already flying toward him. Clearly, that comment had hit a nerve. He shouted, "He's my prey." Seeing Feng Ye's reaction, Demon Arrow let out a quiet "oh" and quickly raised his bow to block the incoming sword. "You mad? Come on, third bro was just messing with you." Once things had settled down, Demon Arrow turned and began to walk away. Over his shoulder, he said, "Let's go. Don't keep Big Bro waiting." Feng Ye watched his third brother's back as he walked off, thinking to himself, he never knows how to make people feel good. Then, turning his gaze to the distance, Feng Ye smiled faintly. "Moonslash, let's have another fight next time. Settle this for real." The crescent moon was partially hidden behind dark clouds. Below it, Afei and Small Chili were walking together. Afei laughed and asked, "Is that for real?" Small Chili glanced at him, her eyes full of doubt. "You're not messing with me, right? So your brother isn't some perfect guy, super handsome, tall, and smart." She added in a Sichuan accent, "That's what you girls call lying through your teeth." Her words made Small Chili burst out laughing. She teased, "You're picking things up pretty fast." Suddenly, the bushes in front of them rustled. Without warning, a small green demon jumped out. It had a badge on its head with the number 35. Instantly, flames flared up from Afei's hands as he stepped in front of Small Chili. "Careful, get behind me." But Small Chili gently pushed to the side. Her own hands lit up with fire and her eyes turned sharp. "You be careful, get behind me." Then, a large wave of fire burst from her, engulfing the little demon completely. It was a fire-twisting move. Once it was all over, Small Chili turned around and saw Afei sitting flat on the ground. Above her head, her badge now read 17 plus 35. She tilted her head and asked, "What are you doing sitting on the ground?" Afei stammered, The ground, it's really slippery." Small Chili bent down to help and asked, "Come on, get up. Where were we just now?" Afei looked at her, a bit awkward. "Thanks. I guess being this close makes things a little uncomfortable. It's kind of new to me. I've never really talked to someone like this before." After they defeated the Green Goblin, the two walked side by side, chatting. Suddenly, there was a small noise from the nearby bushes. Afei spoke up, "All right, you've been talking about your sister this whole time. What about you? Tell me something." Small Chili replied quietly, "I don't really like your brother, so why talk about me?" But Afei didn't give up, just making conversation. "Come on, tell me something." Eventually, Small Chili gave in. "I just graduated from college." At that moment, 3 goblins appeared around them. Floating above each one was a number, 20, 25, 30. Afei and Small Chili glanced at each other and got into fighting stances. While staying ready to strike, Afei kept the conversation going. "That's a great age." Small Chili didn't quite catch it. "What did you say?" He quickly switched topics. "Oh, nothing. What did you major in?" She answered briefly, animation. As they talked, Afei managed to take down one of the goblins. The display above showed 11 plus 25 animation. "I really love animation," Afei said, using a shared interest to keep the conversation going. He added, I really admire people like you, doing what they love, studying and working in animation, creating their own films. That's just so cool. At the same time, he thought to himself, praise her through compliments, spark her interest to keep the conversation flowing. As soon as Afai spoke, Small Chili's expression changed. Her face darkened. Holding a little goblin in one hand, she repeated his words in a low, heavy voice. Admire, making your own animated films. So cool. Still gripping the goblin tightly, she raised her other hand and slapped it hard across the face. At first, I was full of passion and love for animation, so I chose to major in it at college. But no one tells you that watching animation and actually making it are two completely different things. With that, she slapped the goblin on the other cheek, making its face turn red, teeth break, and blood fly out. Animation takes 24 frames per second. Depending on the frame rate is 1/2 or 1/3 of that. You still have to draw 8 to 12 images for every second. That's 480 to 720 drawings for just 1 minute. 10 minutes? That's 4,800 to 7,200 drawings. And it only keeps piling up. After 4 long, grueling years of studying, she finally graduated. But when she went to interviews, she found out that each drawing only earned a few cents. Small Chili let out a deep sigh, her voice low and heavy. A few cents for each drawing. I'd make more selling fried rice on the street. Seeing her like that, Afi quickly realized what was going on. He panicked a little and thought to himself, uh-oh, bad start. I must have said something I shouldn't have. I need to cheer her up fast. You gave a shy smile, trying to smooth things over. Life might be tough sometimes, but we keep pushing forward. I believe that with people as brave and persistent as all of you, the local animation industry will definitely rise. But your words were met with silence. Afei couldn't tell if Small Chili was feeling any better. All he saw was that her face looked even more downcast. On the other hand, the goblin in front of them was so scared it started trembling, glancing at him desperately like it was pleading for help. Small Chili didn't say a word. She kept burning the goblin with fire until its whole body was engulfed in flames. Thick black smoke rose into the air, mixing with the firelight and covering part of the sky. After finishing, the two of them continued walking. But Small Chili kept her head down, her mood clearly worse, making Afi feel awkward as he followed behind. He muttered to himself, what do I do now? What do I do? I totally killed the conversation, but I saw people online say this kind of thing all the time. Where did it all go wrong? Afai's face was dripping with sweat and he kept scratching his head. The awkward tension felt like it was about to spill out of the screen. Help! Somebody save me! That desperate cry echoed in his mind. After walking for a while, they finally arrived at their destination. Right in front of them was a waterfall. In the water, a female monster was soaking, her level displayed as 299. Both Afi and Small Chili watched the monster cautiously. Afi asked, what kind of monster has nearly 300 warrior certifications? It wasn't until the monster turned around that they saw its strange appearance clearly. Half of its body was decayed, withered, and lifeless. The other half looked normal, with intact skin and flesh, but the overall look was terrifying. The monster opened its mouth wide, releasing a cloud of purple smoke that filled the air. A piercing scream followed so loud and harsh it felt like it was crushing Afi and Small Chili to the ground. Both of them clutched their heads, overwhelmed. Afi was still conscious. He looked at her and mourned, this is bad. Small Chili plant, run now. Small Chili was in shock, barely able to speak. Afi, I. Before she could finish, she collapsed to the ground. At the same time, the monster activated a stitching phenomena. Thin purple threads appeared one by one, sinking into the water. They began to sew Afi and Small Chili together. Their bodies merged at the torso, their eyes still wide open. The two of them lay motionless in the flowing water. Afi and Small Chili were stitched together, floating on the surface of the water, both still unconscious. Suddenly, they opened their eyes at the same time and sat up, looking around in confusion. What's going on? Where are we? Small Chili plant, Afi, where are you? Out of nowhere, a massive column of water rose up from the center of the pool. Strange, echoing cries filled the air as if something was moving inside. From the darkness emerged a half-human, half-fish monster. It stared at Afi and Small Chili with an unsettling look of amusement. Do you like the new clothes I gave you? At that moment, both Afi and Small Chili shouted in unison from the water. It's that monster again. What did you do to us? Looking at her creation, the female monster couldn't hide her delight. She smiled softly. Just gave you new outfits, made you even more beautiful. As she spoke, a large stream of water began to rise slowly from behind her. It was huge and swirling with force. Afi and Small Chili both looked up, confused and alarmed. What is that? Suddenly, from within the torrent, another monster appeared. Much larger, with multiple terrifying eyes. Its entire body was made up of the skulls of various animals. This was the creature the female monster had summoned. With a twisted excitement, she said, "Come on over and play with everyone." Seeing the monster, Afai and Small Chili immediately jumped up and stood on the surface of the water. Small Chili shouted angrily, "So annoying!" Afai quickly warned, "Get away from here now." But just as they got up, they both fell back into the water, their bodies unable to move. As they reached their hands forward, a strange feeling rose in their hearts. Knowing, could it be? Both Afai and Small Chili sat up, staring blankly ahead. They realized they were sharing the same body. Without thinking, Afai's hand landed on Small Chili's chest. The moment triggered her fury. She grabbed his hand, shoved it away, and snapped, "Hey, what do you think you're grabbing?" Afai stammered, "I am sorry." Small Chili didn't let it go and kept yelling, "Get lost! Move over." Afai was at a loss. All he could do was mutter, I. Watching them argue, the female monster suddenly spoke up. At the same time, she used her power to pull them in. "Stop fighting and come here already." They started getting dragged toward her. Afai could feel it and shouted in panic, "Watch out, we're getting pulled in. Move back now." Afai and Small Chili fell down. Frustrated, Small Chili shouted again, "You knocked me over. Move to the right." Afai replied, "Sorry, I'm used to turning left." The monster kept pulling them in with its strength. Seeing how bad things were getting, Small Chili yelled, "This is bad. Forget running. We can't even stand." Afai added, "We're getting closer to the monster. She's losing patience." "Hurry, think of something," Small Chili urged. "I am thinking," Afai said, struggling. Finally, when he came up with a plan, Afai shouted, "Got it." "What is it?" Small Chili asked. "Don't move. Let the top half of my body take the lead," Afai said. Right away, upper half of his body jumped up. His hands burst into flames, lifting his whole body into the air. Seeing this, the female monster panicked and screamed, No, I hate fire. Stop it." She thrust her hands forward and cast a powerful water spell. Waves of water rushed toward Afai and Small Chili. Both of them had flames coming from their hands. Seeing the water coming fast, Small Chili shouted, "It's about to hit us. Move." "Hold on," Afai replied. They both flipped and spun through the air. As they moved, the flames swirled around them in blazing circles. They were quickly thrown back, tumbling over the surface of the water. Knocked down hard, Afai shouted in frustration, "I told you not to move and just let me handle it." Small Chili wasn't having it and snapped back. "Your reaction was too slow. You almost got hit." Afai defended himself, annoyed. "That's because I only have half a body. It's hard to keep my balance." Flames burst fiercely from Small Chili's hands, lifting her high into the air. She couldn't hold back and scolded him. "Idiot." Irritated, he shot back. "Idiot?" She quickly said, "Stop moving. Let me do it." With that, Small Chili used Fire Stream Passion. Flames shot out from her hands, blasting toward the two monsters. The fire struck them directly, setting them ablaze. One of the female monsters screamed, "So hot, it's burning." Over here, blocking the large, many-eyed monster was the female creature. Her action made the beast furious. It immediately raised its hand again to cast the water prison spiral technique, growling, "You won't listen? Then die." It merged once more with the obedient child, launching another fierce attack. Torrents of water came crashing down toward Afai and Small Chili, surrounding them in an instant. The two shouted at each other in panic. "Quick! Dodge! Hurry! We're out of time." Columns of water surged together, trapping them in a massive whirlpool. Half of Afai and Small Chili's bodies were now locked tight, caught in the spinning current. Eyes shut, cheeks puffed, both of them held their breath, struggling to stay calm. Small Chili, annoyed, thought to herself, "This is such a pain. I'm totally out of sync with Afai." At the same time, Afai silently complained, "Small Chili plant is way too arrogant. I let her take the lead, and this is what happens." The water pressed in from all sides, making it almost impossible to hold on. In that moment, one thought echoed in both their minds, "This is bad. We're out of options." Amid the deep, dark water, a faint glow of fire flickered from their bodies, casting light into the cold, sunless depths. Then, for a split second, Small Chili let go of her pride. She told herself, "If we could just work together a little better." Afai's really no different. Just thinking that, just admitting it, was kind of sweet in its own way, wasn't it? Suddenly, both Afai and Small Chili snapped their eyes open. At last, in perfect unison, they shouted, "Grab my hand." Their hands clasped tightly. A spark of fire burst to life in their joined palms. A powerful explosion of flame erupted, blending their strengths into one force that blasted upward through the water, sending fire roaring and waves crashing all around. Standing firmly on the water was a complete form created by the two of them working together. On one side, Afai said, "Small Chili plant, first tell me what move you want to make and I'll fully support you." Small Chili replied, if you want, I'll also follow your lead and work with you from your angle. Watching them made the female monster furious. She roared, no, you're not allowed to stand up. The monster stood in the middle and reached out, using a fusion phenomenon that turned into thin strands of violet thread, slowly wrapping around a flea and Small Chili. But the two moved in perfect sync. As the purple threads came toward them, they immediately dodged to the left, then quickly shifted to the right. At the same time, they both threw their hands back, releasing a powerful burst of sparks that launched their bodies forward at an incredible speed. Just like that, they kept moving side to side. They glided lightly across the water, clearly enjoying themselves. Small Chili laughed and said, it feels like we're dancing. Hearing that, Faye agreed, I feel the same. How about we add some music? Without missing a beat, Faye called out, let's get some music going. A voice responded, I'll play some bongo bong for you. Then he glanced at Small Chili and added, I just listened to this song the other day. Before she could finish her sentence, Small Chili quickly replied, I really like it. The song Bongo Bong played softly in the background. A fiery figure appeared and began to dance with the upper bodies of Faye and Small Chili. They danced on the surface of the water, surrounded by thin strands of purple light. Everybody liked to be in my place instead of me. It took another step forward, and with that, the fusion was broken. 'Cause I'm the king of Bongo Baby, I'm the king of Bongo Bong. The fiery figure gently fell back. Faye and Small Chili looked at it, and at the same moment, the incantation used by the she-demon was cut off. King of the Bongo, king of the Bongo. The she-demon brought her hands together, casting a spell that released two beams of light, one purple, one green. A violet wave surged forward, crashing with enormous power against the fiery tornado unleashed by Faye and Small Chili. The firestorm grew more intense as it rushed toward the she-demon. It drew closer and closer, the red glow becoming brighter, embers scattering through the wind. The she-demon realized she couldn't fight it. She stood frozen, repeating over and over, no, no, no. Behind her, the flames burned everything into a blackened void, lighting up the scene behind Faye and Small Chili. The demon's spell was broken. Faye held Small Chili close, and the water around them rippled in harmony with the soft, flowing music. The flames on the monster's body slowly died out, leaving only a few flickering embers on its charred frame. Suddenly, 8 beams of light, green, blue, orange, and purple, shot straight into the sky, creating a magical scene. Seeing this, Small Chili finally let out a sigh of relief. She had finally leveled up. Now she could learn a new skill. Standing next to her, Faye said, this boss didn't just give us good XP. Looks like it dropped quite a bit of gear too, huh? The two of them were standing on the monster's red body, eyes focused on the screen. Faye glanced at his hand as he passed some loot to Small Chili. To his surprise, 2 epic items had dropped. Perfect. One for each of us. You pick first. Small Chili replied, let me take a look. As she reached out, Faye's hand accidentally closed around hers. They both froze in place, caught off guard. A flash of blue light flickered between them. Faye, flustered and blushing, softly stammered, Small Chili, Small Chili exhaled lightly, her face just as red as his. Wanting to break the awkward silence, she quickly changed the subject. Hey, what do you think your brother and my sister are doing right now? Outside, the sky had already brightened. A gentle breeze stirred the treetops nearby. Not far from them, Hua Xiao slowly took a deep breath, savoring the soft fragrance of the air. Her cheeks turned pink, and her eyes held a shy sparkle as she thought to herself, it smells so nice. The whole air is filled with his scent. I wonder how happy he'll be when he sees me suddenly show up. This place was a cliff, the very spot where Mood Slash and Feng Ya had just fought. But now, it was completely deserted. As Hua Xiao looked around at the empty barren scene, she said nothing. No one knew what she was thinking. Her hand clenched tightly, and in a low, tense voice, she said, could it be? Because I wasn't there with him, my destined one has. Suddenly, Hua Xiao kicked her leg high into the air, sending out a burst of purple light. Dust and dirt scattered everywhere. As her foot slammed down into the ground, that same purple energy shot deep into the earth. Wherever it traveled, the ground cracked and split apart. When the earth in front of her had completely collapsed, she stood silently, staring at the scene before her. Her expression was serious, her eyes sharp and cold. She said, whoever it is, I'll make them pay dearly. Meanwhile, on the other side, Feng Ya suddenly sneezed for no reason. The tip of his sword struck directly between the jaws of a giant snake sitting in front of him. Confused, Feng Ya wondered why he suddenly felt a chill down his spine. Elsewhere, the eldest brother was walking ahead of the group from Demon Arrow. As he moved forward, he said, let's go. We just found a 500-point monster up ahead. That caught Feng Ya off guard. He turned to look surprised and thought, 500 points? The corner of his mouth curled up slightly. a 500-point monster. Who's stronger, it or Moonslash? This is all your fault, Moonslash. My fighting spirit is boiling over, and there's no calming it down. Kill, kill, kill. The water flowed quietly and slowly. A figure rose to the surface. It was Moonslash. Surrounding him were 3 monsters, levels 20 and 15. Moonslash looked at them and let out a long sigh. His body still couldn't move. After being knocked into the water by Feng Ya, his body had slowly sunk into the river. When that lunatic Feng Ya and his gang pushed him off the cliff, he kept reminding himself to stay alert, to watch the water surface, and be ready to strike back from below at any moment. Suddenly, a level 9 monster bit into Moonslash's arm. He had been ambushed from behind by the lake monster. The creature's body exploded, turning pitch black all over. The system announced, "You've captured the venom of the ghost scale fish." Moonslash slowly raised his arm and looked at the wound. He had thought it was just a normal monster, but less than a minute later, he was completely paralyzed. Even moving a single finger had become sluggish. Blood from Moonslash's wound spread through the water, drawing the attention of more monsters. Ranging from level 75 to 145, they started crying out, "Blood, blood." Meanwhile, he managed to transform in time. In a desperate move, he turned into a skeleton. Then, all sensation in his body vanished and his face floated to the surface. And so he drifted with the current, not knowing how long he had been carried along. The sound of rushing water around him kept getting louder. It felt like serious trouble was coming. At last, carried by the current, Moonslash's body slowly floated away. He sank deep down and the space around him grew darker and darker. A single drop of water fell, splashing softly across the surface. Once he felt a bit stronger, Moonslash slowly sat up. He moved his body gently. Finally, he could move again. Where is this place? When he stood up completely, Moonslash looked ahead and saw a wall full of strange round holes. Staring at it, he thought to himself, "Am I in an underwater limestone cave now?" Acting on instinct, he stepped closer to one of the small holes and lightly touched it. This isn't right. These cave openings weren't formed naturally. Each mark is shaped like a claw. This entire cave had clearly been dug out by some kind of giant creature. Moonslash took a step back and studied all the small holes in the wall. Quietly, he guessed, "So I'm inside the lair of some monster." Based on Huayingai's design logic, only a high-level monster or a pack of massive beasts could create a place like this. Moonslash held a test tube in his hand, filled with a green liquid. Without hesitation, he drank it. "This place puts me at a huge disadvantage. If I don't recover quickly, I have to get out of here as soon as possible." Once his strength returned, Moonslash continued feeling his way through the narrow tunnel. The deeper he went, the more he sensed something strange until he finally reached an area glowing with green light. In front of him stretched a long cave path, scattered with round pools of green slime. The slime trembled slightly. Looking closer, Moonslash guessed they were monster eggs. Something up ahead caught his attention. As he moved closer, he saw a large green egg, bigger than he was. Beneath the egg, there was a sword glowing orange. The sight of it made him pause in surprise. Moonslash stepped forward, bent down, and lifted the sword with both hands. He looked closely. It was definitely Luna's sword. He stood in silence for a moment, then suddenly slashed the egg in one clean stroke. Inside, just as he suspected was a person, it was Luna. As she returned to her human form, part of Moonslash's body turned into black smoke that rose into the air. He held the unconscious Luna in his arms, calling out again and again, "Luna, Luna, wake up." At the sound of his voice, Luna slowly opened her eyes. She softly said his name, still dazed. Then suddenly her eyes flew open wide as she screamed, "Watch out above." Blocking the entrance of the cave was a giant monster, its body covered in legs. Moonslash stood beneath it, still holding Luna. All around them were glowing green monster eggs. Moonslash held Luna tightly, carefully bracing himself against the massive monster charging straight at them. At the same time, he stayed alert for threats from above. With one swing of his sword, he blocked the monster's huge fist as it came crashing down. The impact was so powerful that Moonslash winced. It felt like he was holding back a speeding truck. Luna looked at him and spoke urgently, "Moonslash, put me down now." The monster roared and launched another punch at them. Its fists came one after another, each blow explosive and paralyzing. Suddenly, the monster leaped into the air and spit venom in Moonslash's direction. Instantly, Moonslash and Luna split up. He tossed his sword to her, and she caught it, quickly thanking him. Both of them took up a ready stance. Moonslash kept his eyes on the monster, then asked, 999, "How did you end up facing this thing?" Luna replied, "I don't really remember." The monster locked eyes with Moonslash, its blood-red gaze filled with rage. It growled, "You dare steal my child." Mood Slash met its glare calmly and asked quietly, "Wanna try me?" Luna jumped in quickly. "I'll take the lead. You back me up? If we capture it, leveling up is almost guaranteed." Mood Slash nodded. "Right, but monsters with scores this high are extremely dangerous. We need to be careful." After agreeing on a plan, the two of them rushed forward. Ahead of them, thick smoke and dust filled the air, no sign of anyone in sight. All at once, they charged forward to attack. The monster extended all four of its arms, aiming straight at Luna. She swung her sword, unleashing a starflare slash from below. Moon Slash followed up with a horizontal strike, aiming for another one of the monster's arms. Suddenly, the monster lifted its body, rising just above the Moon Slash. The glowing red blade cut deep into its flesh, slicing through with a flash of light. Without hesitation, Luna slashed again, landing another starflare slash. The back-to-back blows made the monster cry out in pain and recoil slightly. Slowly, it began to retreat into the cave. Standing below, Luna looked up and said it went back inside the cave. Moon Slash didn't answer. He stood silently, thinking to himself, "Just as I thought, this thing must have dug those tunnels. Once it runs, we'll have a hard time tracking it through that twisted maze." Suddenly, the ground around them shook violently. Moon Slash immediately warned, "Stay alert, check the surroundings." Luna, confused, asked, "Is an earthquake one of its abilities?" All around them, monster eggs started rolling toward them, accompanied by the intense trembling of the ground. Both of them shouted in unison, staying on high alert for whatever was coming from below. Out of the earth, a sharp column of dirt suddenly shot straight up. Its pointed tip carried a chilling aura. It was another one of the monster's skills. A spiral tail pierced through. Both Luna and Moon Slash quickly jumped to the sides, dodging the attack just in time. The monster's tail curled into a sweeping arc, clearing everything around it. Rocks, dirt, even the monster eggs. Glancing at Luna, Moon Slash said, "It's too fast. There's barely any time to counter after each attack. Luna, I think we should split up. That way, he can only go after one of us at a time and the other will have a chance to strike." Luna nodded. "Makes sense." A small rock rolled lightly across the ground, a subtle warning that danger was near. The two stood facing each other, tense and alert. Suddenly, the ground began to tremble. Luna looked at Moon Slash and whispered, "It's coming, over on my side." At that moment, the monster's massive tail shot up from beneath the ground, aiming straight at Luna. Dirt and rocks exploded in all directions. Without hesitation, Moon Slash rushed toward her, ready to help. As he closed in on the giant tail, Moon Slash's face grew serious, calculating every move. A normal attack wouldn't do much damage. He had to time this perfectly, judging the tail's speed, the reach of its armor, and the slight delay when swinging his blade. Once he locked onto the right moment, his eyes flared red. This was it. In one swift motion, he slashed his sword across the monster's tail. The sharp blade sliced through cleanly. A stream of green fluid burst from the wound as the creature let out a deafening roar of pain. The pain made him spring to his feet, his massive body standing tall and causing the ground to shake. Rocks and debris were thrown into the air as the earth trembled. The two of them quickly ran away, staying on alert as they moved. "Get outside, be careful," the monster shouted angrily at them. Once again, it slammed down onto the ground, shaking the entire area. A fiery red light glowed from deep below the surface, and the earth around them cracked open. It was the earth plate technique, and countless chunks of stone and earth flew up. Moon Slash swung his sword in a wide arc, then called out loudly, "Luna!" He rushed forward and pulled her away from the falling debris. Looking at her, he asked urgently, "Are you okay?" Luna gasped for breath, her voice weak. "The power is too much. I got hit because I wasn't careful." Moon Slash immediately said, "From now on, I'll take the lead in the attacks. You focus on recovering." Just as he finished speaking, the monster didn't give them any time to rest. It suddenly burst out of the ground, its massive tail anchoring itself deep into the earth to keep it balanced. While Moon Slash charged to attack, Luna quickly focused and began to heal herself. As the monster's two massive arms swung toward them, Moon Slash instantly raised his sword. The monster countered by slamming its hand into the ground, sending rocks flying in all directions. Moon Slash was forced to retreat to avoid the blow. In the center, it stood firm, many tails supporting it, and its body suddenly radiated strength. Facing this scene, Luna and Moon Slash didn't hesitate for a second. One in green, the other in red, they both rushed forward together, aiming straight at the monster. The force of their collision was explosive, creating such pressure it felt like it could tear the cave apart. 2 hours later, after fighting for some time, both were clearly exhausted. Luna drove her sword into the ground and panted heavily. "Even if we're doing well, why does it have so much blood?" Moon Slash stood next to her, gritting his teeth as he encouraged, "Hang in there a little longer." Looking back at the monster, they could see it had lost all 4 of its arms. Its massive body was still twitching and moving violently. Moonslash noticed this and said, "It's probably reaching its limit." As soon as he said that, the monster suddenly lifted its head and let out a hoarse laugh, its voice growling with disdain, the limit of foolish, arrogant insects. With that, it reached out with its hand and grabbed the nearest egg. To the stunned gaze of the two, it slowly opened its mouth wide and shoved the egg inside. This action left Luna in shock. Does it want to eat its own egg? Beside her, Moonslash also recognized the strange behavior. This is bad. After swallowing the egg whole, its body began to glow. In just a moment, the 4 arms that had been severed completely regenerated. Not only that, a new power surged into each arm, making them stronger than ever before. Luna looked on in shock and said, "It's fully restored." It looked down at the 2 opponents below, its voice ringing out with mockery. "Don't be in such a rush. Despair is only just beginning." As soon as it finished speaking, all 6 of its massive arms lifted at once, forming a strange circle. Red and blue light swirled together into a powerful vortex. This was the Mong Yim dragon seal. Immediately, Moonslash rushed forward, shoving Luna backward with a warning in his voice. The force froze their bodies. They couldn't move. The scene before their eyes began to blur. The next thing they saw was a busy, bustling crowd. Slowly, the scene sharpened into the inside of a cafe. On the table, a cup of coffee was being filled to the brim. The server in front of them bowed slightly and said, "Here's your coffee, sir." The person sitting beside him smiled and replied, "Thank you." The man had the exact same face as Lulai. Sitting calmly, he lifted the coffee cup in his hand and spoke. Deep down, Lulai already had a vague idea of the answer. Lulai reached up to rub his forehead, trying to make sense of the situation. The other man kept talking, "As long as there's even the slightest chance, I'll never give up." Only then did Lulai lower his hand from his forehead, but his expression remained mostly unchanged. He opened a book, resting his head on one hand against the chair, and whispered, "From the moment Big Brother disappeared to when you joined Theme Incorporation and started playing the Moon Illusion game. It's been so long. If he was really okay, how could there have been absolutely no word from him?" His gaze grew a little darker when he heard what he said, but Lulai quickly refocused his thoughts. The journey here wasn't without its rewards. At least now he had some information about the infernal abyss straight from Wu Yu's mouth. Just then, the person next to him suddenly slammed the book shut in his hands, looking frustrated. "How long are you going to keep lying to yourself?" He snapped. "You're losing your mind over a game." He furrowed his brow and reminded him, "You know better than anyone that it's just a series of stacked codes. You should be following the will of our big brother and doing something meaningful, not dragging a fight along, wasting time on an illusion that doesn't even exist." Lulai stayed silent, his face resigned as if accepting it all. The man stood up in front of him and placed both hands on his shoulders, almost like he was trying to offer advice. "Wake up. Don't forget you have dreams of your own," he said with a smile, looking into his eyes. "Building an orphanage where these kids can truly call it home? That's what you should be focusing on now." Just as the man was getting smug, a hand shot out toward his neck. Lulai grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. His voice was low and firm as he spoke. "Enough. You're just a manifestation of my inner demons, created by monsters in this illusion." Behind the man, the scenery started to crumble piece by piece. He didn't seem to care. "Am I your inner demon, or is it the reality you refuse to face?" His tone was mocking. "You couldn't even protect your most loved one, so how could you protect or help anyone else? And that orphanage you dream of building, it was supposed to be something the 3 of us built together." Lulai angrily glared, opened his eyes, and found himself face to face with the monster's mouth full of teeth. It grabbed both him and Luna with one hand. Seeing him suddenly wake up, the creature was startled and exclaimed, "What?" A flash of red light burst through. The monster's hand, which had been holding their bodies, was severed. Lulai fell to the ground, holding Luna in his arms. The monster cried out in shock, "My hand, how could you escape my nightmare so quickly?" Ignoring the enraged monster, Lulai gently laid Luna down on the ground and gave her a bottle of purple medicine, a dream escape potion, used to break out of illusions at level 30. After a moment, she suddenly opened her eyes wide, tears streaming down her face as she cried out, "Mom." The monster beside them sneered, "Isn't it better to die quietly in the dream? It's because your inner fears are so strong that you fought so desperately to break free." Both of them glared at it, their eyes filled with rage. 2 beams of light shot forward as they shouted in unison, "Die!" Luna slashed with blue beams of light while Lulai attacked with red ones. Together, they focused their strikes on a single spot on the monster's head. The monster's body crashed to the ground, causing the earth to crack open beneath it. It was completely confused. They should be weak after escaping the nightmare. How can they be even fiercer than before? The monster stepped back, trying to dodge the attack, but the two immediately pursued. It cursed angrily, "Damn it, does you want to fight me to the end?" The creature reached out for a green egg on the wall nearby. When Luna realized its intent, she slashed a beam of blue light to block it. Not so fast, celestial moonblade. The monster's egg in its hand was instantly shattered by her sword strike, sending a stream of green liquid spraying out. It silently cursed to itself. "Damn it, I guess I'll have to retreat back to the cave for now." Suddenly, Lulai appeared behind it. He asked indifferently, "Want to run?" In the next moment, a red beam of light swept across, and the monster's head was instantly severed and sent flying. It couldn't believe it and screamed no. Its body collapsed to the ground. The two of them high-fived. Luna sighed in relief, saying, "Finally, we killed that monster." Lulai's score went from 354 to an additional 999. He looked apologetic. "Sorry, but all the points are mine now. The final blow should have been a joint effort." She waved it off. "It's fine. If the monster had managed to escape, all our effort would have been wasted." They began walking again. Lulai started calculating. "From now until the 7-day deadline, there's only about 2 days left. After we get out of here, I'll do my best to help you level up quickly." Luna nodded in agreement. "All right, this place makes me feel really uncomfortable. Let's get out of here soon." Just then, a voice suddenly echoed behind them. "Leave. Did I give you permission?" Both of them were startled and immediately turned to look. Luna asked in confusion, "The monster isn't dead." He retorted, "No way. I took all of its points." The two people cautiously watched the massive corpse of the monster. Lulai commented, "But the sound definitely came from the monster." She noticed something moving inside its stomach and shouted, "Look, its stomach is moving. It's bulging up and shifting like something is trying to break free." After a moment of shifting, a hand poured through the monster's stomach, reaching out. A strange but more normal-looking monster with 6 arms appeared. It laughed loudly, clearly in a joyful mood. "Who killed that immortal fool? Finally, I am free." Its gaze suddenly fixed on the two humans in front of it. It sneered, then immediately leaped down. "Did you kill him?" Luna could only shout one word. "Quick!" She yelled out, but it was too late. The monster kicked her, sending her flying. Her body slammed into the wall behind her, kicking up a cloud of dust. Lulai rushed forward to attack the monster. As the monster tried to block his attack with one of its arms, its mouth opened, and a green ball formed inside. It suddenly shot a stream of liquid straight at Lulai. Unable to dodge in time, he was struck and sent flying backward. The liquid covered his body and slammed him into the wall. A number 1998 appeared on the monster's head, and it looked down on them with disdain. "How pathetic. How are you all so weak? If you were able to kill me, it's only because I truly deserve to die," it sneered. The cave shook as it knocked 2 of them away, sending rocks tumbling down, showing just how intense the impact was. The monster casually dug at its ear and, indifferent, asked, "Hey, how long are you going to pretend to be dead?" It stomped 1 foot onto the ground, causing rocks to fly into the air. The monster quickly used its 6 arms to knock the rocks away in every direction. Luna swung her sword to slice through the flying stones, leaving trails of blue light in the air. On the other side, Lulai also slashed through the rocks with strikes of red light. Then the two of them, moving at incredible speed, launched an attack on the monster. It simply used 2 of its hands to block their blades. He was surprised and muttered, "What? She can't even pull her sword out of its hand. Incredible. It only used 1 arm to block her." The monster knocked them both in different directions and commented, "How boring." As it turned its head to look at Luna, it spoke again. "I've lost interest in you all. I'll give you one last chance to attack." From behind it, Lulai made a hand signal to Luna, and then the monster turned to look at him, remarking, "Anyway, dying in agony is the best appetizer before the main course." Luna, understanding the signal, took a deep breath. Then, without hesitation, she charged forward, her sword aimed directly at the monster. While she was drawing the monster's attention with a strike, Lulai quickly ran around to its backside. Luna swung her blade at it, Celestial Moonblade. The monster leaned back to dodge, then asked indifferently, "Is that all you've got?" But it did notice the attack still hovering behind its head, spinning in midair. The monster charged forward, saying, "You've run out of chances. Time to die." Suddenly, it heard Luna shout, "Return." Out of the corner of its eye, the monster saw the attack return, heading straight for its back. It immediately raised its hand to block the strike. At the same time, Lulai, fast as lightning, attacked. Frowning in anger, the monster thought to itself, that last move was just a decoy. The real attack is from the one hiding behind. Interesting, but that's all there is to it. It opened its mouth and launched another green liquid attack toward Lulai. This time, however, Lulai was prepared and didn't get pushed back. Seizing the opportunity, he struck with a backstab. Lulai suddenly appeared behind the monster and slashed across its back. The monster let out a painful scream as green liquid oozed from its body. Luna, standing next to him, asked in confusion, "Did it work?" A few drops of blood flew into the air. The monster snapped its fingers and suddenly, a crack appeared in an egg, releasing a green light that seemed to draw its attention. After the monster absorbed enough energy from the egg, its wounds healed and its body seemed to be filled with energy. Not bad. That combined attack was really interesting. If I were the one on the receiving end, I might have actually been killed by you guys, it said. Luna stared in shock at the scene in front of her. She couldn't believe it could control the eggs from such a distance to heal itself. Could it really be? Was she feeling troubled? As long as these eggs were around, it wouldn't be able to die. All around them, there were green eggs scattered everywhere. The monster turned to ask, "Is your strength in your teamwork? You're both weak individually. When you work together, you can hurt me." Lulai glanced at Luna in disbelief. "Strength?" she asked, not quite sure. "Teamwork." The monster smirked. "That was your final combined attack, wasn't it? I want to separate you two, make you suffer, and despair alone." It then used its splitting technique. Right in front of them, two identical monsters appeared, both attacking the pair at the same time. Lulai and Luna could only raise their swords to defend. As he fought one of the monsters, Lulai thought to himself, after splitting, the monster's power was weaker, but it was still exhausting to deal with. Meanwhile, Luna was unexpectedly struck. The force of the blow sent her crashing into the wall behind her. Lulai immediately turned around and anxiously called out, "Luna." She responded, "Moonslash, be careful. There's no need to worry about me." He exclaimed, "You're still free enough to worry about me." A circle of green liquid shot toward him. The monster was shocked when it saw the eerie smirk on Lulai's face. "Am I seeing things?" He's still smiling. He jumped up, using his blade towards several eggs on the ground. Enter the fierce enemy. The eggs on the ground were all shattered. Then, with a series of swift attacks, Lulai quickly destroyed the surrounding green eggs. The monster propped itself up, appearing indifferent to his actions. "I thought you had some tricks up your sleeve. I'm not stopping these eggs, and yet you're wasting all this energy trying to break them. Stop wasting your strength and let me eat you already." Suddenly, it noticed something and froze. "Oh, the destructive force you're using seems to be getting stronger with every strike." While Lulai was cutting fiercely, the monster flew toward him to block his attack. No, it was using that green liquid to attack him instead. "Stop right there." Lulai responded with a flash of red light to counter. The two forces clashed, causing a massive explosion that split into two battlefronts, with red and green light flying in opposite directions. The explosion swept across the area, shaking the entire ground. The only thing left where they stood was cracked earth, barren, and desolate. The monster sighed. "I didn't expect you had such a backup plan." Lulai coldly asked, "You're still not dead." Here's the translation. Lulai thought, "I have to kill this creature before it recovers and uses its abilities again." Enter the fierce enemy also had a recovery potion that reduced the cooldown of its individual skills. It seemed like the monster could predict what Lulai was about to do. A green light appeared above its head, and it yelled loudly. "Don't even think about it." Its red eyes widened as it used boundless layers to strike. From an egg, a bony arm reached out and grabbed the blade of Lulai's sword. Lulai was shocked. A skeleton emerged from the egg, and soon more and more skeletons appeared around it, each one emerging from their own eggs. The monster looked at the electric storm it had created and happily said, "What a pity, you almost managed to kill me, but now you don't have another chance. From thousands, millions of green eggs, thousands, millions of skeletons like these have hatched. They all gaze hungrily at you in the center." Lulai had to keep cutting down the advancing skeletons, but there were too many boundless layers to defeat them all. The monster absorbed power from the remaining eggs and laughed joyfully. "Just like I thought, your skill is powerful, but as long as I stop you from starting it, there's no threat." It casually sat on the body of a boundless layers skeleton, crossing its arms and watching the chaos unfold. Then it said, "Let me enjoy watching your clumsy dance while you're surrounded by boundless layers." Each time, Lulai swung his sword, the red streaks cut through the bodies of several boundless layers in quick succession. Over on her side, Luna wasn't doing any better. She had to constantly fend off 6 arms coming at her. The monster kept attacking, forcing her to block and retreat at the same time, but the creature was incredibly fast. It struck her body hard. Instantly, the force of the blow sent her flying backward. She slammed into a wall, and the impact was so strong that she coughed up several mouthfuls of blood. Seeing Luna struggle to support herself with her sword, the monster sneered, "How boring. I've only separated you two, and already you can't even fight back on your own." It spoke casually. Nothing kills the move more than prey that doesn't fight back. Blood still trickled from the corner of Luna's mouth, but she shot back. "It's not that I can't fight back. Even though we stand on opposite sides, I want to say I'm sorry. You lost your mother the moment you were born, and that was because of us." The monster paused, confused by her words. Then suddenly it burst out laughing, clutching its stomach like it had just heard the funniest joke. Between laughs, it asked, "Is this your strategy? Are you trying to kill me with laughter?" Luna replied, "A joke?" The monster scoffed and snarled, "Trash like you actually has time to feel guilty over the death of that old immortal? You don't even have the guts to fight back." It wiped away tears from laughing too hard and said, "Since you've made me laugh, I'll do you a favor and tell you the survival rule of our kind. From the moment we hatch from the egg, we're already in competition with the mother's body. The mother will eat any egg to restore her strength, and the stronger offspring has the chance to devour her in return to grow even more powerful." The monster licked its lips, showing its sharp teeth with obvious excitement. "As for me, I can eat my own mother. It's just that since you can kill her, eating you would benefit me more." Luna heard this and in disbelief stammered, Eat. The monster grinned. "You're not going to eat, huh? I heard the taste isn't bad." It smiled eerily at her. "You're so emotional inside. How about I help you feel it for yourself?" Luna, terrified, whispered, "No, don't." She tightly hugged her head, screaming while activating the shimmering Lai Yem Longlin. Hearing her scream, Lulai anxiously called out, "Luna, right now, your body is standing on a small mountain made of the boundless layers bodies that I've killed." The monster in front of her yawned, expressing its boredom. "I'm so tired of this. There are so many boundless layers around." It ordered, "Enough with the delays. Kill him." Lulai continued to cut down each boundless layer that charged in him. "Almost there," he muttered. "Hang in there." But around Lulai, countless boundless layers kept coming at him, as if the fight would never end. The mountain of boundless layer corpses piled up, and a gluey, deathly aura surrounded him. At that moment, the system announced, "Congratulations, the host has leveled up to 30. The multi-purpose bracelet detected an item that could level up the character's equipment to the epic tier. Each character gains a level boost every 10 levels, allowing equipment upgrades once. Now processing random skill activation. You've received a shadow clone, which has been assigned to combat duties. The clone will inherit 80% of the original's attributes, and it can also use the original's skills and equipment. The clone's special ability is Shape Shift, allowing it to change appearance within a 500-meter radius. It can swap positions with the original, and the cooldown time for this ability is 30 minutes. At that moment, the monster was feeling incredibly bored and concluded, "All right, I'll kill you first, then I can go eat." It flew over and stomped hard on the boundless layers at the top. A group of boundless layers scattered, but Lulai's body was nowhere to be found. Seeing the empty space at the center, the monster grew suspicious. "Where is he?" It angrily grabbed the heads of two boundless layers on either side, yelling, "I haven't even eaten yet. You dare try to take my food?" The other boundless layers around it were terrified and let out meaningless noises. The monster squeezed the heads of the two boundless layers in its hands until they crushed. "You're trying to rebel, huh?" Meanwhile, one boundless layer was quietly descending below. Its body was surrounded by a strange red mist. Lulai, using his shadow clone, had transformed into a boundless layer and was now standing among the others. He quickly began to slaughter them. The boundless layers didn't recognize Lulai in this new form, so they were easily killed by him. The monster stood atop the pile of boundless layer corpses and looked angrily at the scene below. "What's going on? Isn't that guy supposed to be dead?" It sensed the power behind Lulai's strike and realized that even it wouldn't survive such a blow. In panic, it ordered, "Hurry up and stop him." The red slashes, like spider webs, formed in the air, screamed in fear. No! Outside the space, the lush greenery was suddenly shaken by a violent tremor. A bright red light descended, causing the water's surface to splash wildly. Inside, Lulai struck at the monster's body with lightning speed. But two Lulis appeared. The monster, despite being hit, couldn't believe it. "How could this happen? I'm being killed by something as worthless as this," it thought. "This must be an accident. It has to be an accident," it tried to reassure itself. "It's okay. Thankfully, I used the cloning technique earlier. As long as my clones are alive, I can regenerate. You can't kill me." However, the monster failed to consider that the situation with its clones wasn't looking good. Its knee slammed hard into the ground, and the monster knelt, its body trembling as it clasped its hands in front of the person facing it. "Please spare me. Forgive my foolishness and lies." It slammed its head into the ground. "I am willing to become your loyal servant. For the rest of my life, I will follow you and dedicate my strength to you." In front of it, Luna, her body floating and enveloped in light, spoke, "Well done." The monster heard this and looked up. "Well done." It was overjoyed. You accept? Thank you for your mercy. It's an immense honor to follow you. I will prove myself with my life. Her gaze was both eerie and tinged with a bluish light. Luna calmly said, "It's too noisy. Who even wants to talk to you?" The monster shed a tear, screaming no. A crescent-shaped moonlight appeared, created by Luna, and at the same time, the monster's body spewed out green blood. The results were quickly announced. The hero certification battle has ended. Heroes, please gather at the main central gate. Some heroes couldn't help but feel down and disappointed, since the results weren't as good as they had hoped. It was true. The event had been tough, but at least it was finally over. Of course, there were also heroes who had achieved much more than they ever expected. Oh crap, Y scored over 350 points. He's definitely top 100. Getting all that praise is really making him feel embarrassed. Oh, not at all. Meanwhile, over where Apheus and Ho Chiao were, the atmosphere was tense and no one spoke to each other. Suddenly, for reasons unknown, she slammed her hand down hard on the table, causing it to crack. Then, standing up, she shot a cold look at the two of them and said sharply, "Something's wrong. Both of you have a problem." Afai and Small Chili jumped in surprise. The latter quickly stood up and explained, "Sis, I was just asking for news about my brother." The guy next to her eagerly nodded in agreement, adding, "Yes, yes, Ho Chiao. We've heard you mention it, and we just wanted to ask, do you know who harmed my brother-in-law?" As soon as she said Lulai was in trouble, Afi couldn't stay calm. He quickly asked, "What happened to him?" "How's my brother?" She let out a heavy sigh and said sadly, "It's my fault. I couldn't protect him. Your brother was on his way to find me when he was ambushed and poisoned." Afi still wasn't convinced and responded, "That's impossible. I don't believe anyone could beat my big brother." Small Chili tried to defend her sister, thinking maybe the enemy had more people, but she knew her sister's instincts were usually spot on. Still, who would have thought her sister would go soft just because of some guy? Without warning, her sister grabbed Afai's shoulders and said cheerfully, "You're right. The man I like definitely isn't ordinary. Just one touch from me, and your shoulder almost broke." Afai's face went pale, feeling sorry for his poor shoulder. It really hurt. Small Chili thought her sister was being a bit too much, and with a blank expression reminded her, "Sis, could you try to have a little more self-respect?" But Afai, at that moment, had only one thought in its heart, "Big bro, please save me." And as if heaven had heard his plea, that familiar coughing sound rang out. Lulai walked up from behind and called his name, Afai. As soon as he heard the voice, he instantly recognized it was him. Excited, he turned around and called out loudly, "Big brother." Guo Xiao also playfully added, "My darling husband." Watching her sister act this way, Small Chili couldn't help but feel a bit embarrassed for her. Was her brain working a little too fast? Luna, who was on his back, softly said, "I'm fine. Please let me down." Upon hearing that, Lulai gently responded, "All right, but don't overdo it." The way they interacted and spoke caught Hoa Kiao's attention. Of course, she wasn't pleased at all. Without hesitation, she walked up to him and confronted him. Afai and Small Chili, standing off to the side, were both startled by how upset she seemed. Calm down. Let's talk this through," they thought. Hoa Kiao stood in front of him, their eyes locking. In a tone that lacked emotion, she said, "Remember this, my name is Hoa Kiao, also known as Hoa Xiao." Just as she was being serious, her voice unexpectedly softened. "I'm your future wife, the one and only destined goddess for you." Her self-proclaimed words left everyone momentarily speechless. Ha! As for Small Chili, she could only sigh deeply, thinking, her sister is hopelessly smitten with this guy. Right then, the competition screen lit up again, and the sound came on. Hao Shule and the supervisor raised their voices to make an announcement. "Brave warriors, first of all, congratulations on making it through the qualifiers. Here is the list of the top 100. The list appeared almost instantly. The top 9 rankings were as follows. Po Xiao Shu Guang, Po Xiao Thunderblade Mood Slash, Po Xiao Feng Ya, Po Xiao Swift Arrow, Wap Xiao, Luna, and Lu Ren Wang. Their respective scores were 49, 99, 38, 41, 34, 18, 32, 83, 29, 89, 26, 23, 24, 67, 21, 56, and 19, 89. As soon as the leaderboard was revealed, the crowd of warriors below was shocked. All eyes turned to the top spot. Isn't that a bit much? Almost 5,000 points for first place. Who in the world is this person? Just as the words were spoken, Shu Guang confidently stepped forward and said loudly, "That would be me." The moment they saw him, the crowd was even more stunned. Oh my god, no wonder, it's the Poke Xiao Guild. Some still didn't recognize them, so they quickly turned to others to ask about the Poke Xiao Guild. Another warrior jumped in to explain, "Seriously, you don't even know about the Poke Xiao Guild?" For those who don't know, they are currently the 3rd-ranked guild on the entire server. What's even more interesting is that the core members of this guild are professional players from the Poxial Club. I've heard that before joining Phantom Moon, they had already won several world championships in other games. In short, their skills are proven and impressive. If what he says is true, it's no wonder they're so strong. He immediately decided to go over and try to make friends with the leader. Let's go over and say hello, maybe we can make some connections. Pocio is strong, so it's no surprise they keep making it to the top. But who is this Moonslash? He really made it into the top 3. Without him, the top 5 would have been completely taken over by Poxiao. Speaking of Lu Lai, he's still busy dealing with his romantic situation with Ho Kiao. She's coming on a bit too strong. Moonslash, that name sounds cool. Are you planning to chop up the moon and give it to me? That idea is all her own, leaving me no choice but to take a step back. Sorry, I'm not interested in romance. Meanwhile, the younger siblings of Afei and Small Chili could only sit quietly on the side, whispering among themselves while letting their older siblings sort things out. The two warriors immediately noticed his appearance. Their first impression was that he didn't seem like the ruthless type, and by the way, he had accidentally caught the attention of Poxio's guild. Moonslash, it's him. On the screen, Hua Hishui's voice continued to echo. Congratulations to the top 100 warriors. You have proven your courage to the king. As a reward, the king will grant experience points based on the number of warrior certificates you have earned. Immediately, all the warriors were leveled up. The scale of it was so impressive that they couldn't help but be amazed. Wow, this is so much experience. I jumped up 2 levels just like that. I've gone up 3 more. Of course, Lu Lai and the members of his group were also leveled up. After the first trial, they quickly moved on to the second. It seemed that all the warriors were quite pleased with the king's reward. However, the challenge for the warriors was far from over. Next, the voice rang out again. Warriors, please proceed through the gate to the location of the second trial. Hearing this, the warriors excitedly encouraged each other to step through the massive gate in front of them. Is there more? Who cares? With this much experience, the reward behind this must be even better. Let's go, hurry up. With eager footsteps, they crossed the gate and entered the next trial. They were all arranged at the teleportation magic circle. Naturally, Lu Lai had to be there too. This time, he wouldn't be with his team, but with 4 other people instead. Everyone seemed very confused when they were separated like that. Where are we? Looks like this is the new location for the second door. Where's my team? At that moment, a virtual screen appeared between them, along with a small character. The character cheerfully introduced themselves. Hello, brave warriors. Are you all doing okay? I'm the host of this challenge. A true warrior must have both courage and intelligence. The first door tested your bravery, and now the second door will test your smarts. The rules are simple. Teams will be randomly divided, each with 5 people, to play a game of solving a mystery. Among the 5 of you, one will be a murderer disguised as a player. Your task is to figure out who the murderer is through discussion and debate. After each round of discussion, everyone will vote to eliminate one player. If the murderer is successfully eliminated, the remaining players will be ranked at the basic level. If the murderer survives until only one player is left, then the murderer will be ranked at the basic level. Now we will hand out your story cards, which contain your role, identity, and key clues. Please read them carefully. Lu Lai looked at his card deep in thought. A game based on reasoning and dialogue, huh? The host continued. We're almost ready to begin. Everyone, the second challenge starts now. First, I'll introduce the background of the story through narration. The story goes like this. Who killed Warrior X? Warrior X had passed the king's test after many challenges. He was about to set out to defeat the evil dragon and rescue the beautiful princess. Before he left, the entire kingdom threw a farewell feast to celebrate his journey. But when the feast ended, everyone discovered that Warrior X had been stabbed to death at the fountain in the garden. So, who killed Warrior X? Through the investigation, 5 suspects were identified. The young man with the red scarf is Suspect A. He was Warrior X's teammate. Next is a girl with long, flowing white hair. She's Suspect B, the daughter of a government official. Lu Lai is Suspect C, captain of the Royal Guard. Then there's a blonde, bookish girl. She's Suspect D, a scholar of the kingdom. Finally, there's an old bald man holding a staff. He's Suspect E, the high priest. Now that we know who the 5 suspects are, the question remains, who really killed Warrior X? There's only one truth. It's up to you to find the correct answer to this mystery. After the 5 players finished reading the information on their cards, the host immediately announced. Then the game officially begins. He calmly gave instructions. We'll start with player A, moving clockwise from left to right. Just in case anyone forgets the rules, I'll guide everyone through this round. First, please introduce yourselves and explain your connection to the victim. The Suspect A spoke up. I'm a teammate of the Warrior X. We're like brothers who grew up together. That's my introduction. Now, the next question for me is, How can I prove I'm not the killer? Suspect it replied with firm determination. What about my identity is still in doubt? A good-looking, cheerful guy like me would lie. Please believe me, I'm definitely a good person. So if you don't think it's me, then who do you suspect as the killer? He paused, looking around thoughtfully. Finally, he answered, who's the killer? Right now, I can't say for sure, but if we're going by appearances, Uncle E doesn't seem like a good person. For now, I'll give one vote to Suspect E. A host then spoke, guiding the game. That concludes Suspect A's turn. Now let's have Suspect B introduce herself and explain her relationship with the victim. Suspect B, a young woman, gently introduced herself. Hello everyone, I'm the second daughter of Zhen Yuan Hao. There was one time when I was surrounded by a group of monsters and was Warrior X who fought them off and helped me escape. X is my life-saving hero. Like Suspect A, the next question for her was how she could prove she wasn't the killer. At this point, she blushed and confessed, not hiding anything. Since that day, I've fallen for X. And she cleared her throat and then continued, my health is poor, I'm bedridden all year round. A weak person like me couldn't even break a chicken's neck, let alone kill X. So who do you think the killer is? Her next response had the grace of a beauty queen. I believe everyone is a good person. That's right. I remember there's a clue in my story card. It mentions that my father's detective once pointed out that Captain C of the Royal Guards and Warrior X had a major disagreement. Before X was harmed, someone had seen them in a heated argument. Lu Lai, who had been pointed out, fell silent for a moment, not making any effort to defend himself. The game continued in turn. Once Suspect B finished speaking, a voice rang out, Suspect C, please continue introducing yourself and explain your relationship with the victim X. He spoke without any change in expression, his voice low and steady. I'm Captain C of the Royal Guard, responsible for the safety of everyone in the kingdom. I have no relationship with X. The same question as before. How do you prove your innocence? Lu Lai remained calm and responded, I argued with X because I found out he wasn't deserving of the title of warrior. He was a man who was very popular with the women in the kingdom. Warrior this, warrior that. In his eyes, he was just a lustful man seeking fame and fortune. That's why someone like him was completely unfit to take on a mission to rescue the princess. Although I disliked Warrior X, I would never go against the will of the king. Therefore, I did not kill him. Lu Lai also provided an alibi because she was helping maintain order at the departure banquet. Everyone there saw her. She has clear evidence proving she wasn't at the scene of the crime. Then who do you think the killer is? Based on his analysis and the intelligence gathered by the Royal Guards, he suspected that the relationship between Zhen Yuan Hao's daughter and Warrior X wasn't as simple as they claimed. Why did she choose to hide the truth? Suspect B, after being pointed out, protested with a hint of frustration. Suspect C, you were too aggressive. I was just reading the story card like everyone else. Don't hold it against me. Even Suspect A jumped in to defend her. That's right, B doesn't seem like a bad person. All right, after Suspect C finished speaking, Suspect D took the floor to introduce themselves and their connection to the victim Warrior X. Suspect D spoke calmly. I'm a scholar in the kingdom, responsible for recording history and writing biographies. By order of the king, I came to interview Warrior X and compile a story about his legendary life. With the introduction over, the next question followed. How can you prove your innocence? Suspect D responded with a well-structured and clear argument. First, I have no motive to commit murder. I've always had the simplest, most distant relationship with him. There's never been any connection or attachment. Second, I had no opportunity to kill him. 1 hour before the incident, I was still at the banquet, mingling with other scholars. Even when I went to the restroom, someone was with me. Third, I'm not physically capable of committing the murder. Warrior X was 185 centimeters tall, and I'm only 145. The dagger was stabbed almost straight into his chest. My height makes it impossible for me to have done that, unless X was bending down at the time. But that wouldn't match the scene since he staggered backward and fell into the stream when he died. That's a very solid argument. So, who do you suspect is the killer? Other suspects started paying attention to her after her impressive argument. Suspect A and Suspect B also had to admit it. Suspect D has made a very clear analysis. Yeah, maybe she knows who the killer is. I thought we could pin all our hopes on her. But then she calmly says, I don't know. Even so, Suspect D still had a suggestion. But I suggest we eliminate some possibilities first. The key to this game is to use the clues in everyone's words to figure out who is a teammate and who is the killer. Some players say such ridiculous things that even if they are teammates, they're just dumb teammates who end up hurting others. Suspect A, who was listening to her, started feeling a little uncomfortable. Her time to speak had already been long enough. The round of statements from Suspect D ended. Suspect E continued to introduce himself and his relationship with the victim X. Suspect E slowly spoke. I am the great priest responsible for dividing for the king and leading the sacrificial ceremonies, he introduced in a very brief manner. So how do you prove your innocence? The great priest then shared his story. The night before Warrior X went to battle, I performed a divination. It showed that rescuing the princess would be very dangerous. In the crystal ball, an image appeared of Warrior X being stabbed to death in the palace. As soon as I saw that, I quickly went to see the king to report the result of the divination. The king immediately ordered me to set up a prayer ceremony to change Warrior X's fate. I hurried to the altar and performed the prayer for him. Unfortunately, it took too much time. By the time I finished the ceremony, Warrior X had already met the killer. Still the same question. Who do you suspect is the culprit? Based on your analysis, who do you think it is? This person must have been able to avoid the scrutiny of the divination technique, so they can't be an ordinary person. This person is probably very meticulous, really good at disguising themselves, so they most likely go against the usual pattern. Maybe we should try thinking the opposite way. It seems like the person who is least likely to be the culprit might actually be the one. After a moment, the first round of discussion came to an end. All right, the first round of speeches is over. After we count down from 3, everyone should raise their hand to vote for the person they think is the culprit. 3, 2, 1. The result was clear. Suspect A was chosen the most. He couldn't help but feel confused. He was the first to be eliminated, and he hadn't even been in the game for that long. Me? This can't be right, can it? I told you I'm a good person. Whether you're good at rock will be revealed later, but for now, Suspect A is out. Please leave. Immediately, his spot disappeared. Since the culprit hadn't been found yet, they quickly moved on to the second round. Suspect A's identity was still part of the game. The game continued. In this round, they would be given more clues. Congratulations to everyone who made it to round 2. To make the selection process smoother, everyone's story cards will now have new clues. Note, 3 of these clues are real, and 1 is fake. Since Suspect A had been eliminated, the discussion would now start with Suspect B, going from left to right, and speeches would be given in a clockwise direction. First, let's invite Suspect B to share any new clues and express their point of view. Suspect B spoke softly. My new clue is that Captain C of the Royal Guard never follows the king's orders. When the king instructed Great Priest E to perform the blessing, he also secretly sent C to protect Hero X. Reading this, I believe this clue is definitely fake. A dog that seems obedient can be the most vicious when it bites. That concludes her statement. Next, let's hear from Suspect C. Please share your new clue and your personal view. Lulai spoke in a calm, steady voice. My new clue is that, according to the Royal Guard's report, Great Priest E stayed at the altar the entire night after returning from the king. He didn't go anywhere else. From my perspective, aside from me, the explanations from Scholar D and Great Priest E seem the most reasonable. However, in the second round of statements, B didn't answer the issue I raised, which she clearly tried to hide. That makes it hard not to suspect her. He finished sharing his view. Now let's invite Suspect D to present a new clue and share their opinion. Like the previous speaker, Suspect D turned the spearhead towards Suspect B. My clue is that the daughter of Zhen Yuan Hao has recently become disturbingly obsessed with Hero X. She follows people around to collect items he's used and sends him strands of her hair every day. She even sent him a threatening letter that said, "If I can't have you, I'll destroy you." As soon as she said that, Suspect B couldn't hold back and snapped. Stop making baseless accusations. Suspect D calmly responded. Great Priest E is somewhat aware of these clues too. Besides, after the incident, I gathered information from the captain of the guard and found out that you were the only one who left the banquet early. Finally, the host invited Suspect E to share any clues and express their thoughts. Suspect E was silent for a moment, then slowly spoke up. My clue is that, based on the fortune-telling reading, Scholar D is a reliable and capable ally. The second voting round quickly began. All right, the second round of statements has ended. After counting down from 3, the host invited everyone to raise their hands and vote for the person they believe to be the culprit. 3, 2, 1. The highest number of votes is for B. That means she has been eliminated from the game. Suspect B, upon hearing the result, was truly frustrated. Damn, I'm seriously impressed by you guys. Do any of you even have a brain? It's so obvious I'm the good guy here. How are you even playing this game? She turned to Suspect D and angrily yelled, You, the one with glasses, are you jealous of me because I'm prettier than you? Is that why you're targeting me, trying to frame me? You're nothing but a schemer. No matter how much you talk, it won't change the result. The moment this is over, I'll make sure you regret it. Just wait, I won't let you off easy. Her true identity was immediately revealed. B was a player. The game continued. Before starting the next round, the host reminded the remaining 3 players. We've reached round 3 of the game. If the culprit isn't found in this round, the culprit will win. In this round, there are no rules on the order of speaking and free speech is allowed. However, we are limiting the number of times each of you can communicate before voting begins. The host was still planning to help them, so let me summarize a bit. The clue presented in the first and second rounds was directly interrupted by Suspect D. No need for all this trouble. After saying that, she looked straight at Lu Lai with complete confidence, clearly declaring who the real culprit was. It's already very clear. At this point, she had to admit something. Actually, based on my clues, he is a good person. She's part of a plan I deliberately set up. Upon hearing this, both Lu Lai and the Great Priest were visibly shocked. Everything she had done was to find the real culprit, and according to her reasoning, the killer was C. Lu Lai, called out by her, remained completely unfazed. Instead, he calmly asked her one question. Where's the evidence? Suspect D didn't hesitate to respond, saying the evidence was everything I had already mentioned in the previous round. She added another point. Actually, in my reasoning about everyone, all the information about C was made up by me. The main goal was to see if you would vote for me. The result was that you didn't. Lu Lai was about to say something, but she immediately interrupted him. If you couldn't stand B, would you have chosen her? Suspect D had clearly observed him closely, but he hadn't thought of it that way. A person's gaze is hard to fake. The proof is that when I said something wrong, whether he was skeptical or confused, his eyes were always on me. But there was one moment when he didn't do that. That moment made her even more certain of her guess. That was also the moment when he revealed himself as the killer. In his subconscious, it was not about finding the culprit. It was about hiding it, about getting rid of us. That's why he couldn't look at me. Is there anything else to explain, Captain of the Guard C? Her argument was so sharp that Lu Lai could only sigh and give up, sitting right there, unable to argue with her. He decided to let it go. Whatever she said, that's how it was going to be. Quick, vote already. Don't waste any more time, she urged. His actions surprised her. She didn't expect him to give up so quickly. Had he really stopped resisting? Seeing that things were winding down, the moderator turned to the Great Priest and asked, Suspect E, do you have anything else to say? But he just shook his head and replied, No, nothing. They had already said everything there was to say. If no one had anything else to add, the final statement round was over. After a brief reversal of the game, it was time for everyone to raise their hands and vote. 3, 2, 1. Surprisingly, Suspect D was the one chosen. The results were clear. The game was over and the culprit had won. A smug smile immediately appeared on his face. Seeing everything turn out differently than she expected, Suspect D angrily questioned the Great Priest E. What are you doing? Haven't I made myself clear enough? Why did you vote for him? The Great Priest had no idea how to explain, so he just remained silent and slumped in his seat. That's when Lu Lai finally spoke up in a low, steady voice to answer her question, because the answer in my heart is more truthful than the real one. Suspect D still didn't fully understand what he meant. The answer in his heart? Lu Lai, sitting across from her, continued, For the very first time you spoke, I knew it was only a matter of time before you figured it out. But luckily, since you used the elimination method, A and B had the highest chances of being eliminated first. That meant Great Priest E was my last shot. His words perfectly matched the priest's state of mind. Lu Lai had already realized that E's voting logic was actually similar to his statement in the first round. Upon hearing this, Suspect D finally began to realize the first round is A, the second round is B, the third round is me. Now she understood the meaning behind his actions earlier. After I finished reasoning the final round, he put on a defeated look, but in reality, he was just acting for my benefit. Suspect D never imagined that despite his brilliant calculations, he still couldn't pull off a miracle. Feeling down, he collapsed to his knees. Yes, I lost. In the end, the game was over and the loser left the arena. Even the host had to admit that was impressive, truly impressive. A remarkable comeback. At that moment, Lu Lai's card was finally revealed. The identity of the culprit, the mission of the Iron Masked Warrior, a spy disguised as an assassin. 1. Iron Masked Warrior. 2. Eliminate all threats, handle X assistant. 3. Deal with B's daughter, who's in cahoots with X4. Handle D, the mole posing as a student. 5. Handle Great Priest E. Just then, Hod Hishui appeared on the screen. Congratulations, brave warriors, for passing the second round of selection. The king has prepared special rewards for you. You may now rest for a bit, and after that, we will move on to the final round. Lu Lai's team members also returned to the screen. Big Brother Moon Slash, this is great. Everyone has leveled up. He was very pleased with the results for the whole team. Before they could take a break, an announcement came. Please brace yourselves, warriors. The next round is about to begin. In an instant, the platforms they were standing on shifted, and the sunlight finally broke through. After being in the dark room for so long, stepping out into the light so suddenly made him squint. Before them lay an enormous, dazzling white arena with the deafening cheers of a large crowd echoing all around. It's still Holy Shui and the man in dark sunglasses bringing the commentary to everyone. Dear friends, hello everyone. Hello and welcome to the third round of the selection. Please look up at the screen above the arena. Now let's give a warm welcome to the king of our kingdom. As soon as the king was mentioned, thunderous applause filled the arena. The king appeared on the screen, smiling warmly as he spoke. Thank you all for your enthusiasm. I'm grateful to the brave and outstanding warriors who have traveled from afar to take part in this competition to rescue the princess. Whether it was the first round or the second, I watched them all. They were truly impressive. Every warrior who's made it this far has clearly proven to have both intelligence and courage. Lulai's team stood in the middle of this atmosphere, listening to the king speak, and couldn't help but feel like they were at a school flag-raising ceremony listening to the principal give a speech. Totally feels like that. The king quickly moved on to the most exciting part. As many of you know, our kingdom is famous for mining and forging. To encourage our warriors to perform at their best in this competition, I'm offering 3 legendary grade socketed gemstones as prizes for the top 3 contestants. As soon as Xu Guang heard this, he immediately reminded his team. The intel was accurate. It's really happening. This is what the guild breaks understanding was aiming for. We have to get those 3 legendary grade weapon socket gems. Got it, everyone? Got it. Got it. Of course, Lulai's group was also very interested in the reward. Afai turned to him and asked, "Hey bro, what are these legendary weapon socket gems? Are they really that valuable?" He was quickly answered, "Extremely rare. These gems can be combined with a weapon to unlock special abilities, but they're not supposed to appear until level 50. Could it be that the dungeon is opening earlier than expected?" The small pepper also provided some extra information telling you that right now on the market, a single piece can sell for anywhere from several thousand to tens of thousands of yuan, and these aren't the kind of items you can just get anytime you want. Hearing this, Afai's eyes immediately lit up. Then, if we can get all 3 of those, wouldn't we be rolling in money? The voice of the king continued to echo throughout the area. I can already feel the warriors' enthusiasm burning bright. Now, let's begin the third selection round. He Shui and the guy with the sunglasses will handle the coordination for this round. All right, I'm sure all you warriors are eager to get on the battlefield. That's right. I know everyone is in a hurry, but please bear with me a moment while I quickly go over the rules of this competition. The rules are as follows. A total of 32 people made it past the second selection round. We'll use a direct elimination format with 5 rounds to pick the final champion. You win by either knocking your opponent out of the ring or having them voluntarily concede. The champion will receive a large amount of money, experience, and priority selection rights. The champion will also get to choose the members of a team to rescue the princess. Each team member will receive a chance to pick a treasure from the vault. Now that the rules are clear, we'll be assigning numbers to the contestants. After that, the matchups will be based on the numbers drawn. The matchups are set, and the first fight will be between Warrior 4 and Warrior 13. Please, both of you, step onto the battlefield. And Warrior 4 happens to be Lulai. Moonslash, you're the first one up. Brother, it's your time to shine. Go ahead and defeat them all, hubby. He stepped up slowly, a bit reluctant inside. Another fight again, huh? Right in front of him stood Warrior number 13. As soon as Lulai saw his face clearly, his eyes widened in surprise. He thought to himself, it's him. Lulai looked at his opponent, feeling a vague sense of familiarity. Who are you? King across the street noticed Lulai recognized him and couldn't help but act smug. Oh, what's this? You've heard of me too, huh? Well then, I better put on a good show. I've been out of the spotlight for a while, time to make a big comeback right in front of everyone. He remembered the time when he claimed victory, celebrating how he'd beaten an elite opponent with his signature move, tenfold crossblade strike. Not long after, he was rewarded with, "Congratulations, you received the Sword of Smun." From that moment on, King across the street made a silent vow. This is the 28th time, and I finally did it. I won't lose to you again. Maybe I should thank that boss monster, he reminded himself. It made me realize who I really am. I'm king across the street, a lone wolf. Lonely, but strong. And that's why nothing can beat me. The only thing that ever could is a stronger version of myself. With that belief, King across the street stepped onto the battlefield to face Lulai, full of confidence. Come at me. I don't care who you are. This time, I won't lose. But before he could even finish his sentence, Lulai spun forward and launched an attack. In the blink of an eye, he was taken down, leaving King across the street completely stunned. Ha! How am I supposed to accept this brutal reality? He muttered nonstop. No. This can't be. I can't lose. I haven't even used my special move yet. The combo technique I created myself didn't get a chance to show its true power. This doesn't count. Give me another shot. Why does this annoying feeling seem so familiar? Lu Lai, of course, ignored his rambling. He just thought, annoying. This guy keeps babbling on, but the outcome is crystal clear. Contestant Moon/No. 4 had quickly defeated contestant King across the street No. 13. Naturally, his performance caught the attention of the guild breaks understanding. Lao San, isn't this the guy you and Lao Sai didn't manage to take out? Yeah, that's him. Their focus slowly shifted toward him. Interesting. Hey, that one's my prey. Then Hui Shui's voice rang out again over the match broadcast. All right, let's welcome the next contestant to the arena. This next match went just as fast as the first. Contestant No. 7, Luna used swordplay that flowed like water and danced like clouds, defeating her opponent and moving into the top 16. When it was Fai's turn, the crowd was treated to something extra, an unexpected aroma in the air. Huh? What's that smell? Oh wow, that's savage. No one expected contestant Fai No. 26 to take down his opponent using a BBQ roast chicken move, securing his place in the top 16. After a fight, it was Ho Kiao's turn. Like the previous two competitors, she quickly defeated her opponent. Player number 18, Huo Xiao, broke through her opponent's defense with a punch, delivering a perfect strike and advancing to the top 16. Xu Guang, watching from the sidelines, felt something seeped off. He quickly said to Demonic Arrow Lao San, "Don't you think Huo Xiao's moves and style are really similar?" Before he could finish his sentence, Demonic Arrow already understood what he meant and smiled. I'm 80% sure it's her. The competition continued. Next up, we have player number 27, Little Chili Pepper, facing off against player number 6 from the Guild Breaks Understanding. When she heard her name, Little Chili Pepper confidently stepped up. It's my turn. Xu Guang, as the leader, didn't forget to give her some advice. Just imagine it's like practice and keep your emotions balanced between tense and relaxed. Over on this side, Fai and Ho Kiao were cheering her on. Little Chili Pepper, go for it. Beat your opponent. She smiled confidently and responded, no problem. Ho Kiao also reminded her lightly, if you lose, no hot pot for you tonight. With that, both of them stepped into the ring. The crowd below was eagerly awaiting the match, excited to see a professional player up close. I'm curious to see what makes the Guild Breaks Understanding so famous, one spectator said. Up above, Little Chili Pepper remained unfazed in the face of her strong opponent. So the Guild Breaks Understanding is that good. Today I'll show you that there's always someone better than you. She was confident, but the next words from Tian truly stung her pride. Little girl, small chest, but big mouth. Tian's teasing remark hit Little Chili Pepper like an arrow straight to her heart, and she blushed with embarrassment. What? What did you just say? After being laughed at like that, Little Chili decided to stop talking. Let's settle this with real strength. You don't understand anything. Flat chests are the trend now, guide. Seeing how fired up she was, Tian wasn't scared at all. In fact, she seemed excited. Oh, are you mad now? Could it be that deep down you actually... Before she could finish her sentence, Little Chili launched a fire kick straight at Tian. Shut up! But Tian dodged just in time. Of course, Little Chili wasn't going to give up that easily. She quickly attacked again from behind. There was no way to avoid it easily. The battle was heating up fast. Incredible. Contestant No. 27 Little Chili was launching fire attacks from midair. Her opponent wasn't backing down either. Contestant No. 6 Tian used a jet propulsion skill to dodge the fire strikes. Still, it looked like she'd taken some damage. Parts of her outfit were scorched from the flames. But Tian found the attack more amusing than threatening. Guess I'll get a little more serious and play along with this kid. Right then, she summoned a spirit with her summoning technique, Flame Spirit. In a flash, the fire beast appeared and charged at Little Chili with wild speed. It was so fast, it was almost on top of her in an instant. Little Chili had no choice but to stay alert. So she's a summoner? That dog's fast. Even in such a dangerous moment, Little Chili stayed completely calm, carefully analyzing the situation. But the summoned creature could only move in one direction. As long as she predicted its path, she could counter it. Unfortunately, her prediction was a bit off. The fire spirit actually managed to charge through her sea of flames, catching Little Chili off guard. What? The next second, a loud crash rang out as two forces collided. Little Chili was forced to retreat. Seeing this from the outside, Fai and Ho Kiao grew worried for her. Little Chili's in trouble. That summoned beast has a high resistance to fire. Fire attacks barely phase it. Tian, taking advantage of the moment, raised her voice and said smugly, "If you don't want to end up totally wrecked, I suggest you surrender now." Surrender? Just like that? Little Chili responded by firing a barrage of flaming arrows at her. Tian, still full of arrogance, sneered, "With just you. Pointless. Don't waste your energy." But the real show had just begun. Little Chili leveled up her attack, unleashing a flaming whirlwind that left a Fee wide-eyed in amazement. Nice. She used a fire meteor to close the distance, then hit them with the fire whirl at close range. That way, she caught both the girl and the dog in the blast. At that moment, Tian finally started to panic and shouted, "Flame Spirit, protect me." The fire spirit obeyed instantly, rushing forward to shield her from Little Chili's fire whirl. Without realizing it, she had been right behind him the whole time. Since when? Now the one smiling was Little Chili. It was over. Goodbye. Her final move, the finisher, was a massive blaze. In an instant, the entire arena was engulfed in flames. The scene was so intense that Huadi Shui couldn't help but exclaim, "Amazing." Contestant No. 27 Little Chili had used a clever series of attacks to deceive contestant No. 6. Then she circled behind her opponent and launched a surprise strike. It seemed the winner of this match had already been decided. Even Little Chili thought she had it in the bag. But at that moment, Afai and Hoa Kiao, watching from the sidelines, shouted, "Little Chili, watch out. Look over there, she's not down yet." Tian actually came out of that whole barrage completely unharmed. And now, here comes her counterattack. The summoning art of the 5 elemental spirits, this one move alone lets her call out 5 different beasts. Sorry, I forgot to mention, she doesn't just have one beast to summon. There are 5: Metal Spirit, Water Spirit, Wood Spirit, Fire Spirit, and Earth Spirit. At that point, Huavi Shui gasped again. That's terrifying. Contestant No. 6, Tian, could summon 5 elemental beasts at once to launch a full assault on her opponent. The outcome was decided quickly after that, and Tian didn't even seem to break a sweat. Contestant No. 27 Little Chili couldn't get back on her feet. Congratulations to Contestant No. 6, Tian, for advancing to the top 16. The strength of the guild breaks understanding truly lives up to its reputation. Tian is ranked 5th in the guild. We're curious whether that rank reflects her actual power. We'll reveal more about this in the next round. The arena was instantly covered in a thick cloud of smoke after Tian's counterattack. Little Chili, exhausted, had no choice but to step out of the match. Afai and Hoa Kiao rushed over to support her, gently encouraging her. "Little Chili, are you okay? You did great out there. That other person just had a different skill set than you." On the other side, Tian was busy repairing her battle gear, completely tuned out from what was going on around her. Losing to her clearly took a toll. She spoke sadly, "I lost. I really lost." Then she broke down crying. "This is so embarrassing." Seeing her in tears, Afai and Ho Chiao did their best to comfort her. "Don't cry, don't cry. Really, it's okay. If I were the one fighting her, I'd definitely need your help too." Little Chili finally stopped crying. Still downcast, she said, "You guys don't have to comfort me. I'm fine. I'll work harder to get stronger." A second later, her mood flipped and she flared up with anger, shouting, "There's no way I'm going to lose to someone who mocks flat chests." Afai and Ho Kiao froze for a moment, completely thrown off. They looked at each other helplessly, then laughed and said, "So that's what it was about. We thought you were upset because you lost." Meanwhile, Luna and Lu Lai were off to the side, focused on analyzing their opponents. Luna felt that the members of the Guild Breaks Understanding were truly impressive. It seemed like every one of them was a tough challenge to face. Huai Vishui's commentary continued to echo through the arena. What followed was an incredibly intense showdown. Even though contestant number 27 was outstanding, contestant number 6's strength seemed unfathomable, like a bottomless well. That's right. Coming up next is the match everyone's been eagerly waiting for. Let's welcome the next contestant from the Guild Breaks Understanding to the stage. The warrior stepping up this time was contestant number 5 from the Guild Breaks Understanding, Fang Ya. As soon as he entered the ring, he launched into a relentless barrage of attacks, giving his opponent no chance to fight back. Too weak, far too weak. The outcome of this round seemed decided from the moment it began. Fang Ya, true to his name and nature, was like a fierce wolf with razor-sharp fangs. His opponent had no chance to counterattack, completely helpless, like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. After Fang Ya, it was Demonic Arrow's turn. Let's continue watching the performance of contestant number 3 from the Guild Breaks Understanding. His opponent saw him draw his bow, and at first still had some courage, thinking he's just a man like me, nothing to be afraid of, I can handle this. But in the next moment, that confidence vanished in an instant. Demonic Arrow's weapon wasn't an ordinary arrow, it was a splitting arrow. That meant a single shot could spread across a wide area. It not only split apart midair, but moved with such incredible speed that it forced everyone to take it seriously. Just like that, Demonic Arrow's opponent was defeated in the blink of an eye. Demonic arrow was absolutely terrifying. Every arrow he fired hit his opponent's weak spot with perfect precision. What looked like a simple shot was actually the result of incredible calculation and top-level skill. Nothing could be left out. The competition continued. The next competitor didn't even have time to react before Lightning Sword closed in within seconds. In the next moment, a powerful kick sent his opponent flying upward, too fast to counter. But it didn't stop there. The follow-up kick, landing squarely in the stomach, was the real finishing blow. It launched the opponent backward, slamming him into the wall. Contestant number 2, Lightning Sword, defeated his opponent in an instant, so fast that he didn't even need to draw his blade. Next contestant, please. As the next fighter stepped onto the stage, fear was written all over his face. Sweat rolled down his cheeks from the pressure. Of course he's scared, he thought to himself. He's up against Xu Guang after all. Just like that, what felt like a real match started to seem like a joke. The competition suddenly turned into a martial arts lesson. Xu Guang earnestly corrected his opponent. No, that's not right. The way you're thinking about your attacks is off. With this approach, it's really hard to land a powerful hit. In this situation, you should grab your axe with both hands and swing down hard to deliver a more overwhelming strike. Xu Guang even went as far as giving hands-on guidance. All right, raise your hands a bit higher. Use your waist to control your whole body's strength. The other person followed his instructions eagerly. Like this? He lifted his arms a little higher. The two of them continued like that, one giving instructions, the other obediently following along. Very good, just like that. No, wait, that's not quite it. Remember the feeling from earlier. Try again. Raise your hands higher and do it over. Use your waist for strength, not your hips. This scene had the audience watching from below completely at a loss. Are they ever going to actually fight each other or not? When the lesson ended, they even cheerfully greeted each other before wrapping up. All right, that's progress. We're running out of time, so head on down. Thank you for your guidance. I admit defeat. The whole thing was so ridiculous that Honavi Shui gave up trying to comment on it and quickly passed the mic to the man in black next to him. I'm feeling a bit tired. Can you take over for a bit? The man in black gave an awkward smile and continued. Right. Would the next contestant please come up? The two swords had barely even touched before the fighters ended up reaching a mutual agreement. Brother, do you think there's any point in continuing this fight? Honestly, no. We've been going at it for ages. It's just a waste of time. Let's just surrender together. The crowd watching from above seemed to really enjoy their peaceful resolution. Over on Lu Li's side, seeing all this, he naturally understood. Looks like no one else had the will left to keep fighting. The competition, of course, isn't over yet. Just looking at what's happened so far, it's clear to everyone that things are heating up. Probably because of the impressive performance by the Guild Break's understanding, which seems to have sped up the pace of the event. Right now, we're excited to announce the list of the top 8 contestants. In order, they are Poke Xiao Xu Guang, Poke Xiao Lightning Sword, Poke Xiao Demonic Arrow, Poke Xiao Feng Ya, Move Slash, of Fate, and Huak Xiao. The final 8th spot will be decided in the match between contestant number 6, Poke Xiao Tian Tian, and contestant number 7, Luna. Little Chili and Afi cheered loudly for Luna when it was her turn, lifting her up, flipping her over, and then dragging her playfully across the floor. Luna smiled and responded politely. Thanks, I'll do my best. Luna was ready. Lu Lai didn't forget to cheer from the sidelines, too, shouting, "You got this." The two warriors now stood on the arena stage. Luna's opponent had a recognizable face, and the crowd cheered wildly for her. Poke Xiao, Poke Xiao, Poke Xiao. Tian Tian, repeating an old line, took a jab at Luna. So your teammates with flat chest. Looks like you got a bit more up top, but let's see if your skills are actually any better. Luna stared back coldly, unbothered by the insult. She met the challenge head on. Let's fight and find out. Go ahead and summon all 5 of your beasts. As soon as she said that, Tian Tian actually did it. Let's see if you're strong enough to handle it, she replied. Across the stage, as Luna watched her opponent summon 5 beasts, she immediately launched her move, Starlight Slash. As soon as this move was revealed, the light made Tian Tian squint. In a flash, Luna's speed became almost supernatural. She was already closing in fast. Seeing this, Tian Tian quickly ordered her beast to attack, not allowing Luna to get any closer. But before the beast could even react, Luna had already made her move, slashing fiercely with her ice sword. If Tian Tian hadn't jumped back in time, she would have lost right then and there. That was close. Way too close. Luna's strike had torn off her mask, exposing Tian Tian's true face. From the other side, Luna spoke calmly and clearly. In your last match against Little Chili, you secretly used this water-type beast to protect yourself from damage, didn't you? Why act like you got everything under control? Let's fight seriously. Giving it your all shows respect for your opponent and for yourself. Little Chili and A-Fee were thrilled to see Tian Tian getting beaten so badly. They couldn't stop cheering. Nice one, Luna. You're absolutely right. Keep going, don't stop. Push the advantage, take her down. Even the members of the Guild Breaks Understanding had to admit that Tian Tian had underestimated her opponent. What that girl Luna said really hit home. They could only hope Tian Tian would learn something from this. Feng Ya, on the other hand, wasn't thinking that deeply. She yawned and muttered, "This is boring. When's it my turn?" Being lectured like that by Luna, Tian Tian was of course furious. She called out her beast from within. But so what? Once I sent all my beasts out for a year to take revenge. Do you think just because you spotted a few tricks, that means you'll win? Let me help you understand the gap between us. And just like that, the 5 beasts, following her orders, charged at Luna, attacking furiously. She quickly jumped up as soon as she saw the fire and water projectiles coming at her. She thought she'd narrowly escaped danger, but as she soared into the air, she saw the golden spirit coming toward her. Before she could prepare, it unleashed a storm of feathers aimed directly at her. With the sharpness of blade-like wings, Luna tried to dodge, but she already felt the vines from the wood spirit wrapping around her legs. It moved so fast, and before she knew it, her feet were tangled up. And just when she thought things couldn't get worse, the earth spirit struck too. Surrounded on all sides, the situation was looking incredibly bad for Luna. This is bad. The earth spirit's move just trapped her inside that pile of rocks. Tian Tian's smug smile returned. It looks like I'll still easily win. Afai, Diao Chili, and Ho Qiao, watching from the sidelines, seemed to have lost all hope. Even Luna's going to lose. If she'd stopped talking and focused, she might have won. Her coordination with the 5-element beasts is amazing, way stronger than before. Damn that damn girl. Lulai, still silent, didn't say a word, but his eyes held onto the faint hope that Luna would somehow break through. Tian Tian stood, praising the creatures around her. Everyone did a great job. Suddenly, 2 eyes turned toward Tian Tian. They had been waiting for a long time, and now that the opportunity had come, they were ready. It was at this moment that Luna, holding her sword, struck a large stone in half. She rushed toward Tian Tian, clearly aiming to attack. As she swung, she shouted, "Sword technique." Luna's sudden appearance startled Tian Tian. Luna leaped down, gripping her sword with both hands, intending to strike Tian Tian from above. Slash! Tian Tian looked up at Luna, standing still, with no resistance. Luna's sword came down, cutting through the air with such force that the ground cracked. After the strike, dust and debris filled the air. As the dust began to clear, Tian Tian was still standing, unshaken. She had used the earth-wood-water technique, creating a protective circle of water and trees around her, shielding her from Luna's attack. The metal and fire spirits attacked Luna to protect Tian Tian, forcing her to defend herself and jump back. Tian Tian stood inside the circle, her face filled with anger and hatred. "How despicable, so despicable," she muttered. With a scowl, her eyes burned with killing intent. "Damn it, this disgusting feeling, it's so unbearable. It makes me sick." She thought back to her childhood, a little girl shedding tears of deep sorrow. She sat in a corner of the house, next to a broken bottle, with a faint light streaming in. She sat there, lonely, in that desolate room. In front of her, a man and a woman were having a heated argument. The man said, "What's going on with you? You can tense all day. We can't even talk calmly anymore." The woman, visibly upset, replied, "Oh, really? The biggest mistake I ever made was marrying you when I didn't know better." Hearing that, the man raised his voice, "Then maybe we should just separate and stop this for good." They kept arguing, neither willing to back down. Both glanced toward Tian Tian, who was sitting quietly in the corner, her eyes filled with tears. She curled into herself, tears streaming down her face as she cried silently. The scene shifted. Tian Tian was older now. A hand struck her cheek, a stinging pain spreading across her face. She was surrounded by a group of students. One said, "Were you trying to get close to someone else's boyfriend behind our backs?" Another added, "I've heard her parents are splitting up after constant fights, like family, like daughter." Tian Tian, choking back sobs, said, "I didn't do anything." One person yanked her hair while another pulled out a phone to film the scene. Someone sneered and said you had innocent eyes. Looks like it was just an act. The student with the phone said mockingly, "Let's show everyone what you're really like." Tears and pain blurred Tian Tian's vision. Her restraint snapped. She glared at them, her eyes full of rage, and pushed one aside before lashing out. The one with the phone shouted, "I'm recording this. You're the one attacking people now." Another cried out, "Ah, she bit me. Someone stop her." The scene shifts to a bird gripping a mouse with its talons. A thought crosses the mind. This world is so harsh and indifferent. Life is just too hard. How can I ever be happy? She thinks about the chameleon and the shark, then wonders, maybe I should just hide away. If I camouflage myself and grow some teeth, things might be a little easier. A man smoking a cigarette exhales a cloud of white smoke. Mr. Ho stands watching Tian, laughing behind her and saying, Tian, I never thought you'd be so beautiful and good at games too. Tian happily responds, not really. I should be thanking you, Mr. Ho, for helping me untangle all those problems at school. Mr. Ho exhales another puff of smoke and a cloud grows thick. He says, no big deal. How about being my girlfriend? I promise no one will dare bully you at school if you're with me. Our feelings are mature. It's time to take the next step. Tian looks confused and asks, Mr. Ho, didn't you say you saw me like a little sister? His face, partly hidden by his cap, darkens. She thinks to herself, is that so? It's honestly so disgusting, it makes me sick. Suddenly, a hand grabs Mr. Ho's arm tightly, as if to stop him from taking the next step. He angrily asks, who the hell is this? A group of 4 people stands behind the game machine seats. The leader, holding Mr. Ho's arm, says, hey, this is still just a kid. Tian sits quietly in her seat. Mr. Ho's subordinate leans in and whispers to him, Mr. Ho, this is someone from Xiao. We can't get involved with them. He raises an eyebrow confused. Xiao? The leader of the group said coldly, get lost and don't ever show up at the Xiao Club's internet cafe again. Anho and his followers walked past him, and Anho muttered, I missed you. After that, the other person greeted Tian with a friendly and warm attitude, saying, hey, you're really good at gaming. Have you ever thought about joining our club as a gamer? Tian, confused, asked, club? A gamer, the person explained. That's right, I can see you have real talent. Xiao's club is currently recruiting. Tian's eyes sparkled, as if warmed by a ray of sunlight. It felt like something had restored her belief in the present moment. Then her expression shifted. Her gaze turned fierce and her brows furrowed deeply. She thought to herself, I can't lose. I have to win. I have to play really well. I'm representing Xiao, she thought further. Tian summoned 5 mystical creatures, each representing fire, metal, earth, wood, and water. Each had its own color and unique power. The 5 creatures, imbued with energy, shot toward her opponent in vibrant beams of light. Absolutely killing. The glowing streaks carrying immense power struck the enemy, accompanied by a loud explosion. Dust filled the air as the creature's eyes focused on the spot where the opponent had been, but there was no sign of the enemy. Only the large hole created by the explosion. Tian laughed triumphantly. Ha 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 ha, I won. The onlookers were stunned. What? Is Tian crazy? Xiao La and a Fi, along with the others, panicked and shouted, Luna! Someone in the crowd said, look below the arena. Luna was standing, or rather half sitting, on the glowing sword beneath the arena floor. The 2 trainers commented, is that even possible? Gamer Lu now managed to use the arena's angle and the ground to dodge Tian's powerful attack. Witnessing the unexpected situation, Luna jumped in from outside. The mascots, seeing this, were upset and said, what are you doing? Isn't that against the rules? At the same time, the coach explained, athlete Tian, from your angle, your view was blocked. Athlete Luna has stuck her sword into the wall, and it hasn't fallen off the arena floor yet, so it doesn't count as a violation. Luna said, it's my turn now. Tian continued to channel energy for the mascots to attack the opponent, saying, what arrogance, don't think you can beat me. On the other side, Luna swung her sword in sharp arcs, each swipe creating flashes of light like a moon beheading. The 2 forces collided in midair, creating a pressure that was hard to describe. The 2 powers twisted around each other, forming a swirling circle. The coach said, athlete Luna has used a spinning technique, causing athlete Tian's water and fire attack to mix together. Fire and water instantly create a huge amount of steam. Now the entire arena is covered in thick mist. You'll need to use your hands to clear the fog for better vision. Tian thought, damn it, I can't see anything. She stood frozen for a moment and along with the mascots, unleashed a starlight slash. Tian used her internal energy and the mascot's power to create a green ball surrounded by stones and tree roots around their position. At the same time, a series of green energy blasts shot down toward them, directly attacking earth, wood, and water. A streak of light pierced through the golden spirit and another streak wounded the fire spirit. Seeing the battle turning against her, Tian continued to channel energy, shouting, hold them back for me. With a swift sword technique, Luna appeared behind her, catching her off guard. Tian couldn't react in time. Luna said, I'm just messing with you. That was a light technique. The arena is full of dust and rocks everywhere. Luna then delivered a clean slash across Tian's back. Tian collapsed to her knees, stunned, and said, I've lost. A hand was extended in front of her, as if offering to help her up. Luna stood in front of her, with a faint light shining behind her. I hope we'll be able to face off again in another match sometime. Now, Luna would face other opponents in the next round. The coach spoke up. The final spot in the top 8 has been claimed by player Luna. Moonslash's team is definitely well matched against the Guild Break's understanding. This is truly impressive. The upcoming match to determine the top 4 will definitely be even more intense and dramatic. The competition is fierce and with opponents of equal skill. Who will make it through to the next round? Who will be eliminated? Stay tuned to find out. The MC announced, "This competition has been incredibly intense, leaving quite a few damages to the venue. We're currently making repairs, so please bear with us for a few minutes." In the stands, Ziaullah, holding a small chili pepper, praised Luna. "That was amazing. I was so nervous earlier. I was sweating." Luna modestly replied, "The opponent was really strong. I could only turn things around because of your intel." Luna glanced behind her, thinking, "Plus, I always feel like there's a huge pressure coming from the opponent's back." On the other side, Tian, tearfully apologizing for the loss, knelt in front of Shu Guang and admitted, "I'm not qualified to be a core team member. I let Poke Xiao down." Shu Guang reached out, patting Tian's head and said, "What's with all the sad talk? Instead of moping, you should spend this time doing more reflections. You're really talented. It's just that you joined the team too recently. The road ahead is still long. A little storm along the way is perfectly normal." Shu Guang also evaluated. "Facing that team, we certainly couldn't underestimate them. Looks like we finally have someone who will really make us work hard." After a moment, the commentator announced that everyone had been waiting long enough. The ring had been repaired and reinforced, and the competition was about to continue. Now let's welcome the next competitors. Competitor number 4, Moonslash, will face off against competitor number 5, Fengya. Fengya eagerly prepared to face Moonslash. "Finally, it's our turn. This time, no one is going to interrupt us. Let's make this quick." Moonslash responded, "As you wish." The commentator, excited by the growing intensity, called out, "Please welcome Moonslash and Fengya to the newly reinforced ring. Relax and give it your all in this fight." The two fighters charged straight at each other. The ring cracked under the force of their blows. The announcer shouted, "It cracked again, and this is the ring that's been reinforced 10 times. In just the first move, Fengya launched a relentless attack while Moonslash expertly defended. Fengya, full of energy, pressed forward, landing a heavy hit on Moonslash. He managed to block the blow and retaliated with a powerful counterattack. Fengya quickly responded. Fengya, excited, said, "Awesome. Fighting you was always so much more exciting. You seem stronger than last time, but getting stronger isn't just about you." The two fighters move at incredible speed, exchanging fierce, powerful strikes. The sound of explosions echoed throughout the arena. Shu Guan praised. "No wonder Lao Sai holds Moonslash in such high regard. He's definitely impressive. Even just the way he moves, he's on par with professional fighters." The small side is nervous when the opponent is too strong. It's still the first time I've seen someone who can match Liu when he's serious. Luna mentioned that his name is Fengya, and he has quick reflexes and awareness. It seems like his entire body is in constant motion. On the battlefield, the two competitors continue their fight. Fengya rips off his shirt in a challenge and says, "That's enough warming up. Let's get serious now." Moonslash also removes his cloak and gets ready for the next move. They charge at each other again. He attacks and Liu defends. Fengya swings his blade toward him. Moonslash watches in shock as the blade moves, and his weapon is not far away along with his opponent's sword. The commentator shouts, "What just happened?" Fengya suddenly used his Sword of the Lyric to deflect Moonslash's weapon. Is he trying to? On the stage, Fengya smiles triumphantly. He punches Moonslash straight in the face and continues to land blow after blow. Moonslash struggles to block the hits with its hands. Fengya, pleased with finding an opening, throws a decisive punch at Moonslash, but Moonslash quickly lands on his hands and springs back up, kicking Fengya hard. He moves with the speed of wind, and with one swift motion, he knees Fengya straight in the face. His face is covered in blood, and he thinks to himself, "I'm done for." The two competitors face each other again. Moonslash throws another punch, and Fengya immediately responds with one to Moonslash's face. They kept fighting nonstop. Eventually, Moonslash pulled back. He was exhausted, struggling to catch his breath, and shot a quick glance at his opponent before charging forward like a bullet. As he blocked a punch, his opponent taunted him. "You're not tired, are you?" He smirked, pleased with himself for spotting a major opening. Fengya threw a powerful punch to Moonslash's stomach. Moonslash collapsed to the ground, sliding a long distance from the force of the blow. Despite the pain, he grinned. Fengya sensed something was off. He quickly rushed toward him, shouting as he ran, "This is it!" Fengya yelled in triumph. "Where are you going?" In his mind, he thought, let's finish this. He's unarmed now. The moment Feng Ye swung his fist toward Moon Slash swiftly grabbed a knife and swung it up. In a single slash, Moon Slash left a deep, cross-shaped wound on Feng Ye's chest. The pain hit him hard, his eyes rolled back, his face turned pale, and he looked terrifying. The crowd cheered, thinking victory was within their reach. A Phi beamed, saying, "We won. My brother is amazing." His face showed admiration and pride. Ho Qiao added, "That last slash from my husband was beautiful." On the other side, the mood was much darker. TNT in sight and disappointment. Seriously, even Brother 4 lost. Demonic arrow cleared his throat, but Shu Guang didn't seem to share the same feeling. He folded his arms, smiling faintly as he thought to himself, Lao Si, no matter when, you always unleash an aura like a wild wolf. As he thought about it, he compared Feng Ye to a bloodthirsty beast. Shu Guang continued his internal monologue. Against an enemy, he'll attack ferociously, then soon adapt to their rhythm. Either the enemy will beg for mercy, or he'll just become even more brutal. The image in his mind was of a giant wolf relentlessly chasing its prey. Its goal is not to kill, but to torment its prey the most painful way possible. When it corners its target, these animals are not just deadly and vicious. They also have a heart full of rage. The wolf's gaze was both sharp and ferocious, exuding a chilling aura of death. It was just like the look in Feng Ye's eyes now, crazier than ever. Sparks of purple lightning crackle around him. Feng Ye stood behind Moon Slash, wearing a wicked grin, and said, "Such a pity. Moon Slash, one more strike." Moon Slash, startled by the sound of his voice, turned to look behind him. At that moment, he became even more frantic, and purple light flared up like a massive flame, throwing Moon Slash far away. The system displayed Blood Fury Song. Passive skill. For every 1% of health lost, your attack power increases by 1%. After the player recovers health, the passive skill will disappear in 5 seconds. When Moon Slash looked back, Feng Ye's Blood Fury Song stat was already at 99%. Everywhere he stepped, the ground cracked beneath him. Feng Ye gave an arrogant smile, holding one of Moon Slash's remaining swords. He intended to use his own weapon to deliver a devastating blow to him. Moon Slash, ready to take my strike? Moon Slash furrowed his brow, on guard. In the blink of an eye, Feng Ye appeared right in front of him. He swung his sword at him. Luckily, Moon Slash managed to block with his sword what he was still sent flying a great distance. Before he could land, Feng Ye had already leaped high into the air, preparing for his next strike. Moon Slash hesitated, silently thinking his power has definitely increased exponentially. A loud crash echoed as their blades collided, sending purple sparks flying and surrounding them completely. Moon Slash struggled to defend against Feng Ye's intense attack. He gritted his teeth, feeling like Feng Ye's blade was just about to cut into his shoulder. A blinding light flared up, and it seemed like Feng Ye had poured even more power into his strike. The ground below them cracked open, creating a massive crater, while dust and smoke filled the air. In the stands, the two commentators kept their eyes glued to the match. One, wearing sunglasses, shouted over the sound of falling hail, "Feng Ye has shattered the lightning platform with a single strike." The older commentator, sweat dripping down his face, added, "We should get used to this by now." Out of the smoke, Feng Ye's voice rang out, taunting Moon Slash, "Are you still trying to hide?" But no sooner had he spoken than he became cautious, scanning the surroundings. The blades of Moon Slash and Feng Ye met again in a flash of light. One side glowed purple, the other red, both brilliant but crackling with deadly energy. Seeing Moon Slash look worn out, Feng Ye grinned wickedly. "The odds are tipping in my favor now." In a swift motion, Moon Slash circled behind Feng Ye. All that was left in front of Feng Ye was a cloud of smoke, leaving him confused and unsure of what was happening. Suddenly, Feng Ye's hands gripped his blade tightly, spinning around and swinging it behind him. Too slow. When Moon Slash shot into the sky, Feng Ye followed with a quick leap. It was like a wild predator chase, with the two streaking through the air. The two glowing areas of purple and red that had appeared on the ground earlier now reappeared in the vast sky above. Fei could hardly believe his eyes. Big Brother is getting overwhelmed. Huo Chao shouted angrily, "That bastard! How dare he lay a hand on my husband? I'll show him what happens next." Meanwhile, Siola couldn't help but be impressed, murmuring, "These two are true masters facing off." Shu Guang, standing confidently, added, "It's time to settle this once and for all." Now both of them were moving so fast that they were invisible to the naked eye. High in the sky, only flashes of red and purple light kept colliding with each other. After a moment, they both came crashing down to the ground. Feng Ye suddenly sighed, leaving Moon Slash confused. He raised his sword in front of him and said seriously, Moon Slash, I've been through many battles, but you are the craziest person I've ever met. Let's end this with one final strike. When he said end this, he shut his eyes. When he opened them again, he had switched to a different fighting stance. Beast technique, forced battle intent. Forced battle intent, the target will be unable to dodge any attacks for 10 seconds. Additional damage will be dealt with a 20% damage increase. Feng Ye raised his sword high and aimed it at Moon Slash, a victorious smile on his face as he declared, let me finish you off with my strongest move. Suddenly, a blue shadow appeared behind him, along with a fierce wolf. The ground around them cracked apart due to the immense power. But surprisingly, Moon Slash remained calm in the face of it all. He spoke quietly, it's been a long time since I felt this way. A beam of dazzling golden light gathered in his hand, transforming into a brilliant golden sword. Moon Slash then casually added, oh, I almost forgot to tell you, I'm a dual-wield fighter. At that moment, the light around him split into two. One side glowed red like blood, the other side shone bright gold. His figure was surrounded by thousands of slashes. You have killed the president of the Holy Light Society. A message appeared, along with a visual confirmation. Congratulations on obtaining the White Hidden. Congratulations on obtaining the Hidden Dragon in the Abyss. The Hidden Dragon in the Abyss becoming a form of great length. This equipment is for assassins with stats of 100 100s, plus 480 attack, plus 240 critical damage, plus 99 speed. Its special feature is that it can split into two swords. A hidden dragon dwells in the deep. Every time this attack is used, the target will leave a mark. Each mark adds 1% damage up to a maximum of 240%. A hidden dragon dwells in the deep. Behind Moon Slash, a massive golden dragon illusion appeared, looking extremely powerful and majestic. The ground trembled violently, cracking into large chunks. Feng Ye, seeing this, became even more excited and laughed loudly. He said, Moon Slash, you really aren't an ordinary person. Moon Slash's eyes also turned blood red. He responded coldly, come at me. Let's see who the real madman is. Both charged into battle. In a single frame, there were so many brilliant colors, both fierce and terrifying. With every strike, the light around them rippled. The light columns reached so high they shot out of the arena. Even as rocks flew everywhere, the two hosts kept their eyes locked on every moment of the fight. The middle-aged host asked, has there been a result yet? The other could only respond helplessly, wait a bit. How could we know with all this dust flying? But it looks like we can see now. The result is in. At that moment, the vast arena was left with only two stone pillars still standing. Moon Slash remained standing tall, but Feng Ye had fallen surrounded by a pool of blood. The host cheered joyfully. Moon Slash is the winner. Congratulations, Moon Slash, you've reached level 4. Moon Slash stood there, looking at his fallen opponent as the announcement echoed, congratulations to player Moon Slash for reaching the top 4. In the stands outside, Demonic Arrow observed closely, then said, Lao Se really lost, and he lost in a direct confrontation. That's rare. Next to him, Shu Guang spoke up with a blood dredge song from the fourth brother and the damage boost from the force battle intent combined with the high damage of the Azure Sky technique. How could he lose? He fell silent for a moment, reflecting on the battle, then slowly started analyzing. The final wave caused too much damage to Lao Se. He lost because he became too greedy for the attack power that the blood dredge song gave him, pushing his health too low. He spoke again, continuing, also, I've always felt like Moon Slash has some hidden strength, like there's still a trump card he's keeping back. He's been able to hide it well. This guy is really interesting. After the match, Moon Slash helped Feng Ye to his feet. Looking at him, he asked, how do you feel? Feng Ye replied, this kid, you really know how to hide your moves. I let my guard down this time. Once I'm back in better shape, we'll go at it again. Pointing at Moon Slash, Feng Ye added, but I have to admit, your ultimate move, a hidden dragon dwells in the deep, is really powerful. Even though I lost, I'm okay with it. Moon Slash responded, this has been the most fun match I've had since I started playing this game. Looking over at him, Feng Ye suggested, by the way, do you want to join our guild, the Guild Breaks Understanding? If you do, the position of Lao San is yours. Moon Slash politely declined, thanks for the offer, but I've got other important things to take care of. Slowly, the two of them made their way down the stairs. Feng Ye smiled and said, no problem, no problem. Even if we're not teammates, we're still friends. If you ever need anything, just let me know. I, Feng Ye, will always have your back. And when you're free, let's grab some BBQ. Have a few drinks, no strings attached. Moon Slash smiled and agreed. Sounds good. After the two players left the arena, the scene left behind was a battleground resembling a pit, with a deep crater in the center. Dust filled the air, covering the surrounding space. Hoat Shui stood in the stands, announcing loudly over the loudspeaker, "The intensity of this match is clear for all to see. Dear audience, please bear with us as we quickly repair and reinforce the stage." Dust still lingered at Hoat Shui's location. He held his head in frustration and ordered, "Quick, send someone to ask for the king's instructions. How many more reinforcements do we need for the arena?" Nearby, a bodyguard asked, "Sir, do you think the next round will be even more intense?" Huo Shui replied, his voice growing serious, "It's very likely. If this continues before the champion even appears, we'll be scattered to pieces, along with the audience." At the same time, in the darkness, the king was coughing repeated, harsh coughs. In the dim room, he stared intently at the live feed from the arena. Suddenly, there was a soft tapping sound from behind, followed by a voice calling out. "Your Majesty," the person asked quietly, "what do you wish to say?" "The chief supervisor wants your instructions. How much more reinforcement is needed for the arena?" came the response. The king coughed violently again. After a few more fits of coughing, he commanded, "Reinforce it to the highest level. Don't let the competition fail. Hurry." The soldier replied, "Yes, I will report it right away." In the dimly lit room, the only light came from the screen casting a glow on the floor. Behind the king, thin copper wires were plugged into his body. The search for the strongest warrior must be finished soon. There was little time left. The system's screen continued to run, the progress bar over halfway done. At the same time, the sound of clanging echoed. With the newly renovated, shiny, and sturdy arena, Huo Shui continued to announce the details of the match. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. With the king's support, the new arena has now been completed. This time it's been built to the highest standards, and there's no chance of issues like before." As the match began, Huo Shui continued to speak, keeping the competition going. "Next up, please welcome the next competitor, number 26, Afei." Afei rushed onto the arena, flames burning beneath his feet. He smiled and posed confidently as he stepped onto the stage. "Here comes the handsome guy," Huo Shui introduced with a playful tone. "He'll be facing off against competitor number 1, Poke Xiao Shu Guang." As soon as Afei saw Shu Guang, he couldn't hold back. His mouth dropped open in shock and he pointed at him, still speechless. "Are you kidding me? Why do I have to face the boss?" Meanwhile, Shu Guang remained calm and collected, simply responding with a relaxed smile. "Please go ahead." Afei rubbed his chin, mentally picturing himself defeating Shu Guang. "If that's the case, the little chili will be so happy. But if I win, I'll be facing the president of Poke Xiao. Doesn't that make me the MVP here? The little chili will definitely idolize me, fall for me, and then ask me out. The first meal? Should we go for hot pot or Western food?" Afei stood with one hand on his hip, lost in thought, imagining what would happen next. After a nice meal, maybe they'd stroll through the shopping mall and catch a movie. And then, Shu Guang, observing him, felt a bit helpless. He finally spoke up, breaking Afei's daydream. "Kid, do you know what the first thing a mage needs to do when facing a warrior is?" Afei, still in his own world, blinked and cluelessly asked, "What is it?" Shu Guang didn't answer right away. Instead, he charged forward quickly. His sword swung high, aimed straight at Afei, who was still dazed. At the same time he answered that question, he also extended the distance between them. Afei's eyes remained locked on his opponent, and in his hand, he held a fireball. It looked heavy at first, but the speed at which it moved was surprising. As Shu Guang's sword came slicing through the air, Afei swiftly raised his hand to block it. He used a mid-level magic technique, and his counterattack left Shu Guang wondering, "Why didn't you use your left hand to retaliate? Your left hand casts spells faster, and it would be harder for me to hit." Shu Guang's comment made Afei pause, caught off guard for a moment, slightly confused. As Shu Guang continued to strike with his sword, Afei used his right hand once again to block with the same mid-level technique. Unexpectedly, Shu Guang sneered. "You're just lucky. Stop flailing around like that." Every time Shu Guang swung his sword, Afei used his mid-level magic technique to block. But now, Afei stopped playing defense. Around him, sparks began to form. He was preparing a meteor shower. Shu Guang's lips curled into a slight smirk, and his eyes glinted with smug satisfaction. His sword was ready, held firmly in his grip. "Right, you're trying to extend the distance and then use AoE skills to mess with my rhythm." "Exactly. That's a solid strategy. No major flaws." Then, Shu Guang unleashed a series of strikes so fast that the spectators barely had time to react. The flash of his sword cut through all the fireballs in an instant. In front of Afei, he could only manage a mid-level defense technique in time, but his face showed complete shock. He never expected his move to be broken so easily by his opponent. Sparks still clung to Shu Guang's blade as he stood proudly, eyes filled with confidence, and said, "Too bad, your plan is falling apart. Your fighting spirit is gone. You can't win against me anymore. Surrender. Afai's face instantly darkened and his mind was in turmoil. How? How do I fight this? Huoiti Shui observed the situation for a moment before announcing, competitor A Fi has been completely suppressed and can't use any of his skills. How could 8 strong competitors be so different from each other? The strength of Poke Xiao, the president, is truly deep and unpredictable. Outside, Xiao Chili couldn't hold back and shouted, A Fi, get up! Keep fighting him. Hua Xiao, standing nearby with a serious expression, said, No, the gap in strength is just too big. After a moment of thought, Hua Xiao continued, I just remembered that Poke Xiao's real name is Yang Guang. He's a top-tier professional competitor who has been famous for a long time. Looking at Xu Guang, she couldn't help but think of someone. Their faces were really similar. 2 years ago, he had stepped back to become a coach. She never expected to run into him here. He had been in the industry for over 15 years and had competed in more than 100 international tournaments, winning over 30 championship titles. Afai sat there, his eyes casually glancing outside, hearing the constant, soft cheering of Wu. Hang in there, Afai. If you win, you can make money. If you lose, it's no big deal. Wu's words only made Afai feel more helpless. No, I can't do it. It's just too embarrassing. Afai's gaze briefly shifted. Brother. Meanwhile, Mood Slash pointed to his head as if signaling something. At the same time, outside, the hand holding the mouse kept moving, fingers tapping rapidly on the keyboard. In the internet cafe, people were coming and going while others continued playing games. Voices echoed from the room. Go ahead, don't shoot. I'll save you. I've got time. The boss called out, 1 instant noodle, please. Afei looked at Han Yi Xiao and Lu Lai and asked, So we finally reached the final world boss. No one has ever beaten this level. What strategy should we use? Han Yi Xiao pointed to his head like in the game, then said, We'll improvise. The answer made Afei sigh in frustration, feeling helpless. After hearing it, Afei, feeling down, wrapped his arms around himself and said in a gloomy tone, Every time I ask you, you always say the same thing, but when it comes to the fight, it's always Big Brother holding off the enemy and my older brother is the one who steps in to deal the finishing blow. Meanwhile, I can only adapt to whatever comes. I know you guys don't like my stuff. Seeing this, Han Yi Xiao quickly tried to explain. No, that's not it. Big Brother didn't mean it that way. Seeing how upset Afei was, Lu Lai also left his station. He walked over, put his hand on Afei's head and said, Stop complaining. Big Brother takes on the boss because all you do is hide in the bushes. As for me, I deal support because I have to time everyone's abilities carefully. Han Yi Xiao, still eating noodles, nodded along. That's right. With one hand messing up Afei's hair and Han Yi Xiao's hand resting on his shoulder, Afei felt comforted. Feeling a little more confident, his cheeks turned slightly red. Lu Lai added, and the person who can adapt the most out of all of us, who can pull off that perfect, high-speed, wind-riding play with style, it's you. You're the one who always surprises us. Han Yi Xiao added, Exactly, your older brother is right. Finally, Lu Lai spoke up again. All right, now that you figured it out, get ready. We need to fight the boss. Back to the game for some reason, when Xu Guang saw the situation, he was momentarily stunned. He muttered, Oh. Afei stood up, and at the same time, his fighting spirit was restored. His will to fight was back, no complaints there. Did he think about the things that excited him before? Afei frowned in discomfort, then turned to see. This person keeps jabbering in my ear. It's so annoying. Taste, and in my playlist. Ip replied, All right, master. I'm playing your GTM music now. The music started playing. Afei was satisfied. He was already in position and flames began to rise from his body. That's right. A crackling sound echoed. Afei closed his eyes, feeling the melody that only he could hear. He took a small step forward, and his entire body seemed to merge with the music. Xu Guang paused for a moment, his eyes fixed on his opponent. Around him, a few sparks floated in the air and flames engulfed his whole body. Without hesitation, Afei charged straight at Xu Guang. Xu Guang swung his sword in a horizontal slash, but Afei nimbly dodged and quickly dropped to the ground. Xu Guang was taken aback when he saw a fiery hand reach up from below, and the flames erupted with a loud bang. Xu Guang reacted instantly, driving the tip of his sword into the ground to stabilize himself, lifting his body upward. Once he found his footing and created some distance, he frowned, shot a glance at Afei, and asked, Is that a new fighting style of yours? Is it the lower 3 roads technique? Afei remained still, his hand clenched tightly, with only a few faint embers left flickering. His expression showed a hint of disappointment, slightly off, but he didn't let himself delay for long. He stood up straight, extended his hand, and a new fireball quickly formed in his palm. Then let's try this. Fire string. 3 sparks shot straight at Xu Guang, who dodged while using his sword to block. He carefully observed and assessed, noting that the attack was scattered and not very precise. When the flames around a Fai slowly died down, Xu Guang didn't waste any time. He jumped high into the air, gripping his sword tightly, and lunged downward with a powerful strike. A Fai's expression turned serious, his eyes full of focus. Once again, the flames flared up and surrounded him. As the fire dragon fist was unleashed, a massive whirlwind of fire shot up from the arena floor, sparks flying everywhere. In an instant, the entire area was filled with a red glow. Watching this, Xiaola couldn't help but cheer. So beautiful! A Fei! Being surrounded by the fire dragon fist like this must be so intense. Outside, the fiery tornado grew stronger, and the flames surged wildly. Inside the arena, the battle between Xu Guang and a Fei was growing more intense. Xu Guang's sword clashed with the fire. Both sides locked in a fierce struggle, evenly matched. Hua Shui continued commenting on the fight. It really seems like Xu Guang has the upper hand and can handle a Fai's moves with ease. At that moment, Xu Guang tightened his grip on his sword and smiled slightly, clearly impressed. From the perspective of a mage, your close combat skills aren't bad at all. With a horizontal slash, a Fei quickly leaped out of the way, narrowly dodging the blow. But after all, a mage is still a mage. A Fei crossed his arms in front of him to defend, leaning slightly to the side. One hand lifted high and flames burst forth, spiraling into a vortex. Shakya. With that, a Fei brought his hands together, whispering an incantation. With one strike, the stars and flames of the heavens fall for me. Following that, countless fireballs appeared from above, almost covering the entire arena and forming a fiery vortex. Facing this attack, Xu Guang couldn't help but be amazed. The fireballs rained down like a storm, creating a giant column of fire that struck directly at Xu Guang. Outside the arena, the surroundings changed under the influence of the technique, becoming even more dazzling. Hua Shui spoke up, saying, "It looks like a Fei has leveled up his technique. This might shake the entire stage again." Nearby, a bodyguard added, "This is truly terrifying." A Fei's hands were left with only traces of embers. After the attack, he breathed heavily, exhausted. He looked at the flames before him and wondered, how did it go? Did it work? In front of a Fei, a large blaze roared with thick black smoke rising from it. However, what surprised everyone the most was the sound of laughter coming from within the flames. From the smoke and fire, Xu Guang stood there, holding a shield to protect himself. "Not bad," he said. "This attack isn't too shabby." Watching from outside, Xiao asked curiously, "How is this possible?" Despite clearly being hit by so many attacks, it seemed like nothing had happened. Luna added, "The opponent hasn't even used any moves yet." Hua Xiao, too, was puzzled, saying, "This doesn't make sense. A move this powerful should have hit its mark." Only Moon Slash stood there silently, returning to the battle. A Fei's attacks are being blocked by Xu Guang's shield. The flames almost die out when they hit the shield, and Xu Guang can clearly see his opponent's condition. His attacks are starting to lose control. A Fei, exhausted from the fight, felt the flames in his hands gradually fading. Just as he was about to give up, Xu Guang closed in. He lowered his shield to his side, raising his massive sword high. That burst of power earlier wasn't bad, but it was just a flash in the pan. Standing there in that situation, a Fei was panting heavily, sweat starting to trickle down his forehead. The music began to build again, reaching a climax. A Fei's body was suddenly surrounded by a white aura, and his hand tightly gripped the blade of his sword as it swung toward him. The skill he was using this time was infinite firepower. It drained all his current magic points and put him in the infinite firepower state for 10 seconds. During this state, skills don't consume magic points. The cooldown is reduced by 70% and incoming damage increases by 30%. Seeing this, Xu Guang couldn't help but be stunned. Is that a legendary skill? A Fei's entire body radiated power as the countdown on the clock next to him began. It started at 10 seconds. With one hand holding his sword, he calmly looked at his opponent and asked, "Let me ask you something. Have you beaten yet?" As soon as he finished speaking, a Fei immediately delivered a powerful kick straight to Xu Guang's chest, sending him stumbling backward. His hat unintentionally fell off in the process. A massive force surrounded them as a Fei unleashed the Great Flame Blast. Xu Guang was not far away, and time seemed to rewind, bringing everything back to the 9th second. In midair, Xu Guang quickly regained his balance. Was that the Great Flame Blast? By now, it was already the 8th second. Before he could react, a Fei had jumped up, positioning himself behind Xu Guang. "You're a skilled fighter, huh? But your reaction is a bit slow." By the 7th second, a Fei used the Great Flame Blast again. From above, the blast slammed Shu Guang to the ground with such force that the earth cracked beneath him. It was already the 6th second. Shu Guang lay there, coughing up blood. At the 5th second, a Fei used the fire dragon's spiral 3 times, sending 3 columns of light straight up from beneath Shu Guang. The sight was astonishing. Is this how strong a mage is? How can he beat the boss? Lightning Sword remained silent, while Demonic Arrow laughed and said, a legendary skill really can't compare to one of epic rank. Feng Ye looked on with obvious delight. This newcomer's got something. Even Xiao, usually the quiet one, couldn't help but praise him. A Fei is so handsome. Moonslash appeared pleased, saying, not bad. He's come a long way. Luna added, this type of skill is perfect for a Fei's agile fighting style. Guo Xiao nodded in approval. He's definitely worthy of being my brother-in-law. At the 4th second, a Fei lifted the large orb with both hands. From the orb, powerful beams of energy shot out, a sequence of fireball techniques from 99, starting from the core 99 and moving into the fireball technique of Met. By the 3rd second, a Fei was holding an enormous bright orb nearly as large as the entire arena. It was now the 2nd second. Time was running out. He immediately shouted, watch this move! The fireball technique of Met shot from a Fei's hands and hurtled downwards. Just as Shu Guang was rising to his feet, he quickly raised his shield in front of the golden light emanating from the center. As he watched the orb, even he realized that this move, if it hit him directly, could be devastating. At this moment, Shu Guang smiled slightly and countered the fireball technique. Only a counter shield. Once activated, the shield could reflect damage within 1 second. The counter damage was 30% of a person's maximum health. It was incredibly powerful. The counter shield skill was quickly triggered. From behind the shield, sudden beams of light shot out, shaped like arrows, surrounding the orb. A Fei's face turned pale and sweat began to pour from him. In contrast to his earlier confident demeanor, this time he was terrified. There was no time to waste. The orb was reflected back toward a Fei. Seeing this, the entire group shouted in unison, a Fei! Outside the arena, Hua Hishui commented, such a shame. A Fei has lost. The counter shield from Shu Guang has overturned a Fei's victory. Congratulations to Shu Guang, who is now becoming a level 4 powerhouse. When a Fei collapsed to the ground, it was also the moment Shu Guang calmly stood there. This time, victory was within reach. In the last 10 seconds of his endless barrage, both his power and strategy were almost perfect, with his skills blending together flawlessly. Look at you, Shu Guang said with a faint smile. You're a smart and talented player. With proper training, you'll definitely be able to stand on bigger stages. As a Fei completely fell to the ground, that was when Shu Guang's pants inexplicably slipped down. The entire stadium got an eyeful of the scene. While Shu Guang had won, he collapsed in exhaustion, barely able to stand. The crowd quickly erupted in a mix of voices. Wow, his butt is really white. How shameless. So white. Look, is that a bonus? This guy's not just strong. Oh my god, what is that? Is he showing off? Quick, cover your eyes. Hua Hishui, left with no choice, grabbed the mic and helplessly shouted, Shu Guang, please put your pants back on. This is live and the whole country is watching. A Fei lay there, his hands shaking, his face covered in wounds, and he couldn't help but laugh at himself. This isn't so bad, he thought. I knew I was no match for him. With one eye barely open, I've made it this far. It's already a huge success. The goal was to gather as much information as I could about him. Brother, it looks like from here on out, it's up to you. Shu Guang stood there, grinning triumphantly, not expecting that my earlier assessment of him was still too low. Meanwhile, a Fei was still hearing Shu Guang's voice echoing. That's right, I'm starting to like you more and more. His face immediately showed a confused expression as he noticed his pants hadn't been pulled up yet. Boss, aren't you going to pull up your pants? I hope you're not into some special hobby or something. At that moment, the four, TNTN, Demonic Arrow, Lightning Sword, and Feng Ya were all silently helpless, not sure what to say. Even Hua Vishui had to hide his face and muttered, the program's almost over. Hurry up and get them off the stage. The bodyguard next to him announced, next contestant, please step up. For the next match, we have contestant number 18, Hua Xiao. You'll be facing off against contestant number 3, Pope Xiao Demonic Arrow. Hua Xiao stepped onto the stage, taking a moment to stretch her body. Finally, it was her turn. Was her opponent ready to accept defeat? Suddenly, Demonic Arrow lowered his head and greeted her. Sister Hua Xiao. This caught Hua Xiao off guard. You know me? Demonic Arrow smiled softly and replied, Sister Hua Xiao, I'm a huge fan of yours. I've been following you for a long time now. Outwardly, Hua Xiao truly looked like a professional gamer. I know she's had a 10-year career in gaming, and she started gaining fame in her second year as a pro player. Demonic Arrow continued talking about Hoafsio. I remember when she participated in the National League of Legends tournament. In the first round, she won the FMVP and became the champion. Then he went on to mention some of her other accomplishments. The following year, she switched to playing first-person shooters and won the title of Best Marksman in the global PUBG competition. 3 years after her debut, she became a pillar of the AF Club. In the annual gaming report, she was ranked as the top female gamer in terms of in-game operations for 3 consecutive years. While Hoafsio remained quietly listening, Demonic Arrow continued, "There are so many stories about her, and I still regret that she retired." His words made Hoafsio feel a little doubtful inside. She thought to herself, could this person actually like me? No matter how I look at it, he seems really scheming. If I had to rate him, I'd say he's around a 20 or 30. Moonslash is watching me now and I can't hesitate. I need to clearly reject him so he knows that my heart already belongs to someone else. Meanwhile, CL Chili sensed something strange and quickly shouted, "Sis, why are you standing there? Something's weird behind that guy." Hoafsio immediately turned around, softly repeating the 2 words just in time for more roots to begin sprouting up from behind Demonic Arrow. The large tree trunks twisted tightly together and a green light emanated from his body. Realizing his plan had succeeded, Demonic Arrow let out a soft laugh. "I never thought it would be this easy to stall you." Behind him, a massive tree appeared. He stood on it. At first, it looked like a withered trunk, but suddenly fresh green leaves began sprouting from its branches. It was the Summoned Dark Tree, a magical tree that had taken 10 seconds to summon. The magical tree couldn't move, but it would attack any enemy that entered its range. Its health was 150% of the summoners. The magical tree was immortal and would regenerate indefinitely. In the center of the arena, dominating the majority of the space, stood the Dark Tree. A green light radiated from the middle of its trunk. Quality Shui, seeing the scene before him, couldn't help but exclaim, "What?" Demonic Arrow has summoned a towering tree in the middle of the arena. Demonic Arrow stood confidently on a branch, a victorious smile on his face as he declared, "Sorry, but you've lost." On the other hand, Hoafsio remained calm, almost cold. She simply asked, "Is it really just that tree?" A narrow hole slowly appeared in the trunk, and from it, a faint green light emerged. Without hesitation, Hoafsio rushed toward it, her legs moving like the wind. Using the strength in her arms, Hoafsio swiftly cut through countless roots and branches that blocked her way. The branches fell to the ground, severed and useless. Demonic Arrow didn't seem worried or in a rush. He just smiled and drew his bow, shooting an arrow high into the air with the arrow rain technique. Green arrows rained down from the sky, forming a barrage aimed directly at Hoafsio. However, Hoafsio reacted quickly. She kicked off the ground with great force, creating a powerful burst of energy with her mountain strike. Then she slammed her foot hard against the ground, creating a solid purple shield. The arrows falling from above were stopped by it. As the arrows hit, some were pinned into the roots of the trees that had been chopped down. When the shield disappeared, all that remained was dust and smoke. From the center of the smoke, a powerful green light shot straight toward Hoafsio. The arrow from Demonic Arrow flew out, quickly whizzing past her back. Demonic Arrow didn't stop. He chuckled softly, then drew his bow again, aiming for the target once more. He shot another invisible arrow, faster than lightning. Hoafsio raised both hands in front of her, forming a shield to block the arrow. But the number of arrows from Demonic Arrow kept increasing, forcing Hoafsio into a defensive position. She could only focus on defending herself, unable to counterattack, feeling the pressure from her opponent's strategy. At the same time, she realized this tree is mainly used for control to increase the field of vision, disrupt the opponent, while the archer keeps firing relentlessly. Indeed, this tactic will wear down close combat warriors. With one hand, she chopped through the tree trunk, while with the other, she grabbed hold of it. "I need to find an opportunity to close the distance." Hoafsio wrapped both arms around the tree's trunk, struggling a bit as she lifted it. Without hesitation, she threw it upward, aiming at her opponent. Quickly, Hoafsio stomped 1 foot hard on the tree. As she balanced herself on the trunk, the momentum sent it flying straight forward. Little by little, she got closer to Demonic Arrow. Demonic Arrow remained composed, immediately drawing a second bowstring. This time, the arrow shimmered with a faint purple glow, a mandala arrow. With swift precision, Demonic Arrow aimed at Hoafsio and released. The arrow tore through the air, striking the wooden platform beneath Hoafsio's feet and splintering it apart. Without missing a beat, Hoafsio pulled out her sidearm. She charged forward, focused and unyielding. Demonic Arrow stood calmly, already prepared to fire again. Hoafsio locked eyes with her and said coldly, "I won't give you the chance to attack again." The next shot was released. Huang Xiao dodged quickly, leaping backward just in time. An instant later, a thunderous blast erupted where she had stood moments before. Watching the scene, Demonic Arrow let out a quiet smile. Maybe Huang Xiao's reactions had dulled a bit since her retirement. Archers, after all, rarely left themselves undefended. Huang Xiao glared back. If you have something to say it now, because you won't get another chance. Suddenly, she paused mid-step. Her expression changed. She staggered slightly as waves of unstable energy pulsed from her body. Something wasn't right. She clutched her side, breathing heavily. The mandala arrow hadn't just damaged the platform. It had released a hidden effect. Watching from afar, Demonic Arrow narrowed his eyes, thinking I knew she'd try to rush in. That's why I chose that arrow. The effect is slow, but it will do its job. His calm expression remained unchanged, but inwardly, he knew the battle was already tipping in his favor.